Very special main event draft tonight. We are welcoming in Ben Gretch and Sean Siegele for a $2,000 high stakes draft. We will be drafting from the 112 spot. And of course, the big question is tonight, the night we become Piss Boys with Sean Siegele. We'll find out.
Pat Fryer Helmo.
This is why I'm hot.
Anita Handjob.
Fix your sight. Jamar. Alpha play chase. Are you kidding me? Kadarius Toney?
You can't handle the heat.
It looks like we're finally Piss Boys. You're right.
All right, let's get the crew on screen. We will get Pat Corum here shortly. But Sean, Gretch, excited to draft with you guys tonight.
Yeah, 112 should be awesome.
What an incredible intro. It's so good. The Piss Boys clip in the intro. It makes me smile every time that I'm on.
I was literally thinking about that intro today, knowing we had Sean back on it. And I believe it was Sam Sherman who made a bet with me that I couldn't get Sean to say that on stream. And I said, I bet I can. I bet I can. We did. Sean, though, you obviously have been writing a ton. We got the 0RB countdown list going. I was excited to devour that. How are you feeling about 2026 drafts as we enter the heart of draft season?
Good. I think that this is the most fun year to draft ever, right?
Optimism, the Sean optimism.
I'm pretty sure you say that every year, but maybe they do get progressively better.
I think they do. And Pete, this may be in poor taste, but I'm excited for this draft and, bringing back this team because the team that I drafted with you and Pat last year finished like 103rd overall.
Yeah. Both teams, two of our best teams were the team we drafted with Gretch, the team we drafted with you. Both of those cashed here. And now we are going to combine all of our powers together, drafting out of the 12 hole. We are the Ascendants. I know Gretch mentioned you guys drafted a team last night. Did you guys see, are we in like peak, training camp mania driving ADPs as far as what you guys are seeing?
It certainly seemed like injuries were moving people around, kind of regardless of the severity, which sometimes creates some opportunity.
Yeah, Gretch, how are you feeling coming off your main event last night?
Felt good. It was a fascinating one. We'll see how the first round goes here. Genty went like 4. We had the 8, and we were thinking about Genty. He went like 4. Chase Brown went 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
We had all of Brock Bowers and Christian McCaffrey and JT available at 8. We ended up building a Bowers team. McCaffrey goes 11. JT goes 12. It was absurd the way that all this got pushed down. And then, it didn't actually pan out where we got absurd value out of the 8 hole because of that. But, when you get a little bit of a looser room like that, it's always a lot of fun. So it was a challenging draft actually, but we had a pretty good team. We wound up, it was a pretty piss boy heavy team. We took Breece Hall in the 3rd round, but we had receivers in, several of the single-digit rounds, most of the single-digit rounds. I can't remember exactly how it all came together, but a lot of wide receivers.
And I will say right now, I don't even want any spoilers because I have a feeling some of these picks might be picks we also arrive at tonight here. Was this one you guys recorded? Is this going to be hitting the Stealing Bananas airwaves or no?
We didn't. In part because we promised the 2027 first and second rounds podcast as the next thing, so we figured we couldn't put out just some draft coverage.
I gotta ask, as Brock Bowers comes off the board, I was talking about this with Dwayne yesterday. We saw him spotted with the tape on the knee, the same knee with the PCL injury. Was there any concern for you guys as he goes 105 here with Brock Bowers, or business as usual?
Sorry, what? I'm still dealing with the fallout from my Stealing Signals announcement today. But what was the question? Sean's not answering it, so I was hoping he would.
I need you to lock in. No, Bowers, he was spotted wearing tape on the same knee that he suffered the PCL on last season, and just any worry that PCL injury could linger into this season in the way it has for Dalton Kincaid.
Now I'm assuming that the reason Sean didn't answer is it was as much news to him as it was for me.
Apparently that was a
Sean-
nothing burger. That tape thing was a total. He didn't have tape on the next day.
Okay, that's what I wanted to
It's not
hear.
even like what you get taped for the PCL, so it's not. We don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
We're on tape chasing now. I love it. I mean, that's the time of year.
It's the closest we're going to get to watching tape on this show. It's tape on Brock Bowers' knee. All right. Let's see what we're going to be working with here. This first round goes Gibbs, Bijan, Jamar Chase, Puka. Bowers does go 5. Amon-Ra 6. JSN falls to 7. Genty 8. CMC 9. We are drafting from the 12 hole here. We see what they do at the 10.
We get another
Do you have a
Genty
sheet going for this or not?
No.
Okay.
I have Sean's queue that I'm looking at.
All right. I'm going to get a sheet going for myself just to.
What do you guys think about?
Track it.
I'm tracking for my rankings, just FYI. What do you guys think about Genty going ahead of both McCaffrey and Taylor?
Seems bad.
We saw it last night in our draft too. It's back-to-back drafts.
Yeah. I'll ask one to you here, Sean, just because he's not in the queue. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on James Cook? Is he not a target in this range for you?
Not really. I mean, I think he can obviously catch more passes, and you can end up as the RB3. The more likely thing is that he loses more touches this season, and or just is slightly less efficient, because the efficiency level that he has performed to recently is off the charts. So, I mean, obviously he's a fine pick in this range. I don't think he's the kind of guy who's going to give you 400 points, which, I mean, Trey McBride, CeeDee Lamb, Kenneth Walker, Amari Hampton, maybe Hampton a little bit less in terms of the total ceiling. But I mean, there are 400-point guys left.
So we are on the clock here. We got 39 seconds for this pick. I mean, is this a spot to get Trey McBride?
I'm open. I'm very open to it. Or running back are my thoughts.
I'd be into McBride then. I'd rather take the receivers over the running backs here. I like Jefferson and Lamb quite a bit.
I would be Lamb over Jefferson if we grab a receiver. What do you got? What do you lean, Sean?
Oh, Lamb.
I think Lamb has, I mean, the Dallas Cowboys have a spectacular schedule. They've got a spectacular quarterback. The Minnesota Vikings do not have a spectacular quarterback.
So Sean,
you're not into Carson Wentz?
Let's so 43 seconds on the second pick. We grab Lamb. Sean, you have Chase Brown and Trey McBride in the queue. I'd also have been trying to get a Chase Brown share. I would be good with Brown or McBride.
I'd be pretty happy with McBride. It sounds like Gretch, you were into him.
Yeah, I'm into McBride. I think the 1-2 turn is a running back turn if you're not taking McBride. So I think going 0 RB, and we can do it. But it's Walker for me. It's Walker for me over Brown. But yeah, let's.
Yeah,
we're gonna go 0
part
RB.
of it for me.
I'm in for it.
I'm not that into Brown there. Walker, I would have been. I'd have been more into Walker than Brown.
One of the. I mean, obviously, I know you guys have been talking about this. I've seen the discussion of it. I hear that the ship chasers have gone full boomer in these things. These kinds of comments.
Sorry to disappoint you, Gretch.
Start to make their way back to me. I like these running backs at this 1-2 turn quite a lot, and I think there's a lot of really good opportunity for wide receivers later, and I don't know where I'll next want to take a running back. So that was my thought. Is I like the chase. I go Walker, Brown, Hampton there. I like all those guys probably over Lamb structurally. I would have probably went McBride running back, so I have no issue with McBride and Lamb though. I mean, like we can go 0 RB. It's obviously doable.
Honestly, my favorite of the running backs there is probably Barkley. So it kind of felt a little bit like the guy we agreed the most on was McBride, maybe, but
I had Lamb as my next best receiver too over Jefferson. So yeah, let's do it.
Sean, what do you think about that? For obviously we go non-running back there. How do you feel is the best way to play the turn?
I probably would. Well, Chase Brown is basically James Cook with receiving. And so, I mean, he's the guy who is not perceived in exactly the same way, but you have the massive speed. You have him dominating once the Bengals kind of get going in these seasons. He's really fun because he puts all of the different elements together, plays in that offense, has the speed, has the receiving, all those things. I'd be tempted to go with Walker and Hampton together there because they're such massive talents, big guys, so much speed in offenses that should be very, very good. Now, Hampton has to deal with maybe the NFL's best backup, and Walker has to deal with the fact that the Chiefs look like a train wreck. And so, I mean, there are some concerns for everybody. I do think one of the things with Trey McBride, it's tough to get everything in, and especially when obviously we're doing the show, but with the Tyler Warren injury, there's a real chance that he comes back, which makes it a bit different than McBride maybe before what happened today.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yep. Yeah, and the running back injuries are also pushing some values in different directions as well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Gretch, too. Of like, it definitely feels like the dominant picks there are running back, but I do wonder if there'll be maybe some more running back values that weren't available even a week and a half ago at this point.
Listen, if you guys have been taking running backs constantly, we got Sean Siegele on the draft, like. I want to go full fucking zero RB. Like
let's do it.
Already.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, we haven't drafted in a while, and I was hearing that you went full boomer, so you're not
you've been hearing the same thing from the. Well, I mean, it is.
Telephone.
It's an interesting. It's an interesting season. There's a lot of really interesting pockets of value throughout the draft. It's tougher to navigate from the 12. I feel more comfortable this year getting an anchor running back. The only reason I said Lamb like that on the first pick is I thought our consensus was trending more towards McBride, and I was expecting Sean to click McBride. We also took Lamb last night, so Sean knows that I had Lamb over Jefferson, knows that I'm in on Lamb. We took him in the second round, right? Bowers and Lamb is what we had last night. Is that right, Sean?
Ooh, that's
fun. It is.
Yeah.
It was a fun start. I kind of clicked on Lamb because I was wondering if we would get off McBride to a running back, which I thought would be fun. But I mean, Trey McBride might be the best player in the NFL. And when he is the structural pick in terms of if Warren doesn't come back, then you're going to have to play bad tight ends. And so you're basically operating a pick down from the people who have the elite tight ends.
You wanted to go receiver, running back, and see if Warren would fall back with the groin injury, which is something I thought about. You guys, we probably should have had
Warren if that happens.
Element of a discussion like pre-draft about maybe what we would have thought about doing.
Come on, dude.
I would have been down with any of these strategies. I just wasn't. We were all thinking different things.
Do you feel like Do you feel like McBride has been disrespected a bit this year? Because it feels like, I mean, he's in the third in the best ball drafts, and it's like, dude, this guy's awesome. Like and I know, Gretch, you were very early on, like, no, dude, this guy's he's an animal. Like, he's different. He is different. He's just been proving it, like, for multiple seasons that he's a different type of player. Isn't the whole point of elite tight end that there's like 2 or 3 guys in the league at any given time that are just like straight up different than the rest of them? And McBride's definitely one of those guys.
I want Sean to take this, but I do want to note that I've been talking about this all offseason. His underdog ADP is lower this year than last year. And I know there's like structural stuff with early tight end that's evolving over time, but he was going into last year with a 25 ADP. I looked it up. Hayden had an article about it last year. Looked up that data from last year, wrote about it months ago, and he's only fallen since then. He's going like 28, 29 now. It's absurd. Last year, he was like a 110, 111. Now he's clearly a 112 to 201 in tight end premium. He just had one of the greatest tight end seasons of all time. We over-regress the shit out of stuff. Like, we're just like, oh, he ran too many routes, so he can't be as good. Going into last year, he had a quarterback that can't throw touchdowns to him. And then he led the league, he tied for the tight end lead in touchdowns, because the whole thing was like he can't score TDs and he was still going this high. But Kyler gets hurt and now he scores TDs with Brissett. He's got that QB back. He's got a new offense. Marvin Harrison, everyone's way lower on. Everyone's way clear that he's the guy in the passing game now. Everything going into last year was cloudier and everything is clearer now, and he's cheaper. They went 3-14 last year. Everyone's like, their team's bad. He did that in a 3-14 record, like in a season. Anyway, sorry, Sean, did you have thoughts on this? All right, I get a little more time.
The only person who scored more points in FFPC last year was Christian McCaffrey. So if you didn't have concerns about all of the stuff with the Cardinals offense, with the really low implied total, with the new coach, with the fact that they might just pull out, Packers, Panthers style, let's lose by as little as possible by just soaking the game. I mean, he would be the pick. I mean, after Jahmyr Gibbs, Trey McBride would be in the conversation. So at the 1-2 turn, it's a pretty easy pick.
We start CeeDee Lamb, Trey McBride here. Rest of round 2, Chase Brown does go after us. Justin Jefferson. Looks like Team 10 might be auto-drafting. Devon Achane, Hampton, Kenneth Walker, A.J. Brown, Barkley. Loveland goes at 2-9. Then Drake London, Neighbors, Derrick Henry, and Olave, Pickens, Nico, Devontae Smith kick off round 3. No running backs yet in round 3 here.
Olave up to 301 on the Tyson stuff. I wondered how high he would end up going. Nico, I wondered if he might go up with the Jaden Higgins stuff. I actually moved him over Pickens in my rankings today. I think there's the potential now for Nico to really get everything, because like Xavier Hutchinson's going to run 400 routes again. Like that was the biggest absurd thing that happened last year. Xavier Hutchinson ran 400 routes and they didn't use the rookies more than they did. And I thought we were going to avoid that, but we're not going to. They're going to have Xavier Hutchinson out there a lot again this year.
Yeah, and you have the potential for the offense to be better. So, because, last year he was kind of the dude, but the offense wasn't really clicking. I think getting Tank Dell back for at least, some of the season could be positive for the offense. And then Noel having a little bit of a bigger role could be positive for the offense. But, like, Nico's going to be the dude,
Couple other 0RB teams here. A Chase London Nico team. Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson. And now Rashee Rice comes off the board. Zay Flowers. We are a few picks away. We'll see if Team 10 autos Jeremiah Love at the top of the ADP queue or not. Sean, what are your thoughts on him with this new injury?
Well, I'm trying to be more disciplined with injuries this season. And
so we're taking him.
but, as soon as you get that massive talent at a discount, then you're right back to Jeremiah Love. I think before he got hurt should have been going around where Saquon Barkley is going. And so, like, how much do you move him down because he's hurt?
We're about to find out. Team 10 is off auto draft. Ladd McConkey comes off the board. We are 2 picks away after starting Lamb McBride.
Oh, man. I'm going to wait a second to say what I'm oh-manning about, but I want to know what happens.
Yeah, these 2 picks are pretty key here. Are there other players that you guys are interested in here that aren't the players I think I already know who you're interested in?
Like, where are you guys at on Ibuka?
No, there's not.
Javonte comes off.
All right, well, Javonte, we got sniped on Javonte, so
yeah, that's tough. That was tough that the guy clocked in with 10 seconds left on his clock and didn't take the top guy in the queue.
Yeah, is 2 Cardinals too much here? That's. I'm
gonna give a take. I was concerned about Mike LaFleur. I've really liked what they've done in the preseason so far. I'm actually like getting into the I'm Arizona Cardinals curious. They have an incredibly tough schedule, but like they can still be fun bad if he develops a decent offense. I think they're going to use Michael Wilson. Interestingly, all that Puka Nacua stuff, we saw some of that just in a couple drives, and then we saw Jalen Brooks run some of that stuff, like the sprints to the flat. He had 6 catches right after Wilson came out.
Real quick, so we are on the clock. Higgins goes. I mean, the other thing, do we care about all Week 14 buys? That's another thing to discuss here with CeeDee Lamb and McBride, Week 14.
Ben and I had the same problem last night. I made the case that we could draft a good enough team to win without all of the top picks.
I wanted to just lean into it. I was like, we'll just get in through the regular season. Sean's
yeah,
like,
let's
that's
just get
kind
in.
of a
We
bad
get one
idea.
extra week.
It's a little hard to get in the regular season if we miss 7 games from Jeremiah Love. But where are we at here? We have Tyler Warren and Jeremiah Love in the queue. Is that where you guys are gravitating?
Yes,
it is.
I'm on board. I mean, I do like the idea of there are going to be a ton of wide receivers we like.
Oh, sorry.
Warren first. Yeah.
Go ahead. I was asking who was it first, but we went Warren.
Yeah.
And nobody's against this, right?
No.
I wanted to hear what Pete had to say. Okay. We're in.
So, Sean, I will say last week, it is good to get the picks in because we had some trouble getting the picks in last week, but we do have 60 seconds for the picks there too. So we do have a little extra
it feels
time
like
to talk about Jeremiah Love as we snap that one.
It feels like a lifetime. So the reason I made that noise at the 310 was I do wish I better understood Sean's idea for skipping McBride. He freaking knows everything that's going to happen in every draft. He knew Warren was going to fall. He knew Love was going to fall. He didn't want the 2 Cardinals. He wanted that to be our 3-4 from the point we were at 112. It drives me nuts how
every draft that we do, Ben gives me trouble because it's all Cardinals, Jets, Raiders, and Panthers. So I'm drafting exclusively from the worst teams in the NFL. Like, those are the players who are massively discounted. So
yeah, it's funny how it works that way. But we do start CeeDee Lamb, Trey McBride, Tyler Warren, Jeremiah Love. Let's talk about both these guys.
Well, we have one bad team, okay? And then we got the Colts, could be good, and the Cowboys could be good.
That's right. We're really heavily betting on the worst team.
No, but all jokes aside, I've talked about this, right? What you don't want to do is have one player from each bad team because then you have to hit a 5-leg parlay that they're all better. You'd rather concentrate it on one team and just hope that's the one team that outperforms expectation. But let's talk about
like they don't need to. It's receiving stuff for Love even as well. I mean, he's going to be a big part of the receiving game.
But Sean, where you said you're trying to be more cautious with injuries and stuff, obviously Love's going to get off to a slow start. They love Algier. Why should we still be grabbing him up here at 4-1?
You think about the massive rookie seasons from guys like Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott. It's much more likely that Love comes in a little bit more slowly, like the guys going 1 and 2 overall. But what Pat just said in terms of the receiving, the Cardinals offense, unless they intentionally sabotage themselves because they think the games can stay closer and that somehow gives them more credibility with the fans, this team is going to score a lot more points than people think. They're just simply too good at the skill positions. You've got a couple of okay receivers. You've got the NFL's best tight end. You have an extraordinary running back prospect, just extraordinary. And then you've got a really good RB2 who can take those low value touches without destroying the offense, which some teams don't have, right? They give the RB2 touches to guys who then immediately put you in 2nd and 12, or you're the Kansas City Chiefs, and like every down is life and death because you never gain any yards from those plays. The Cardinals should be good in terms of, their defense should still be a disaster, which again is perfect as long as they try to score, they get into shootouts. If I had one thing I could magically create for 2026, it would be back to the NFL just having a little bit more garbage time as opposed to the bad offenses. Also not being able to stop their team on defense in the fourth quarter just goes to nothing. This Cardinals team, though, again, we saw with Trey McBride last year what they can do. I don't think the quarterback matters that much. I think these two guys are going to be relatively quarterback proof. Now, JJ McCarthy showed what that means for the Vikings last year. So you always have that potential, but the Cardinals should be good.
But Brissett was the guy last year. We saw it. He's not McCarthy. And Carson Beck looked pretty darn good in the Hall of Fame game. Chat, like the guy in the chat's like, high ankle sprains will slow down production for a season, not just for a few weeks. I get all that. My question is, where do you think Jeremiah Love should go? Because he was the 103 in the NFL draft. He's a superstar prospect. He's already been discounted. To Sean's point before the injury, like he arguably should have been going in the 2nd round. He was going in the 3rd because of all his concern about the Cardinals, because of the concern about Tyler Algier. Now we get him at 401. Like, what are you saying? Like, where are you saying he should go in the 5th round? Like, what? It's absurd at a certain point. It becomes the Jamar Chase rookie year thing where we're just overdoing it. We're pushing him down. Now the Chase thing was drops, which was silly. It's never going to be that again. But, as things evolve and things get sharper, you can still make similar mistakes as a market. The fact that Jeremiah Love's profile is going at 401, it factors in the concern over the health stuff for me, and the team stuff by a mile.
Well, this is kind of like where Jahmyr Gibbs ended up, right? Kind of in his rookie season in that late 3rd round range. And you're like, yeah, I'm betting on a guy there he'll be a committee back, but he's going to catch the ball really well. He's going to be really explosive. And over the course of the year, you're going to really, really want him. But maybe in the beginning of the year, you're going to have to figure out some other stuff. Like, that's kind of what this bet is. I think by the end of the season, we're going to be very stoked about Jeremiah Love, except in week 14 when we don't have any players to start.
And it's also the case that I argued that 2026 was the most fun year to draft in, but the one area that's still very not fun is the fourth round. I mean, Tetrone McMillan is the only guy who deserves to go in round 4. If you had other options, it would be a little bit different.
D-Mac, baby.
Let's talk about Tyler Warren too. He obviously now with a little bit of an injury, but still pretty excited about him in tight end premium. Sean, what are your takes on Tyler Warren?
Well, again, the injury is just devastating because, I mean, he's been the best selection in any tight end premium format all offseason. You get him in the middle of the third, very real chance to be the number 1 tight end. Daniel Jones. So many of these guys have supposedly recovered so well that we're probably ignoring some of the injury risk with those guys. But when you think about the situation with Alec Pierce, you think about how good Tyler Warren was in his final year in college, how good he was last year. I mean, he's just the next guy where in 2027, he's going to go 109. When you have a chance at him in the middle of the third, which is where he was, then that's the easiest pick in the draft. At 312 with an injury, I mean, again, you really only have McMillan as a choice beyond the 2 guys we took.
Gretch, how do you think about this too? I mean, one of the things that's interesting with the FFPC in these leagues, obviously there's real money to be won by winning your league, but all the big prizes is about as top heavy as you can get with that $1 million prize. You guys know, having had teams that finish top 10, top 20, it's like first or bust essentially in this once you get to the sprint. I mean, when you're drafting a team like this, you really are saying, how do I build a team that can win first place overall in the contest, even if my, regular season, advance equity takes a hit?
Yeah. And I think you said that well. And I think Sean said a moment ago that he made the case to me last night. He feels like, and we didn't record that or anything, but he feels like we could still build a winner, and I think we did a pretty good job of that. I think we're like right now the rest of our draft is empty. When we get into round 15 and we look at the rest of it, they're not all going to be hits by weeks 13 and 14, but I think we're going to feel like, yeah, we could fill the starting lineup. We could fill the competitive team. It's a head-to-head matchup. Typically, you're facing a really good team, but there are situations where you can still get fortunate. I think it dramatically lowers your win equity when 3 of your top 4 picks are not going to be in there in week 14, obviously. They'll be there in week 13 when we don't have Warren. I mean, obviously they're not all out at the same time. It is an issue. However, win-loss gets the auto bid, and points gets the auto bid, and there's money for those as well. And I mean, I always feel like the 13-14 path is tricky. You got to win out. If you don't get the 1 or the 2 seed and get the auto bid, if you're the 3 or the 4, you have to win 2 straight games. You have to beat usually the 2 seed and the 1 seed back to back, because you have to beat either the 1 or the 2 right away. That's who you're matched up with, and typically they're going to win the other game, or you're facing a pretty good 3 or 4 seed on the other side of the championship.
Someone who just beat the 1 seed.
That just beat the 1 seed. You're having to face 2 of the best teams in your league back to back and win them both, and then you get a path in. I don't put a ton of weight on that, and then. I mean, I don't not, but I'm not like, I'm not going to take the right pick at a value because, we're going to have too many week 14 buys. I think there's an argument to stack it all up, say, look, weeks 1 to 12, we're not going to have anybody on buy. That's our first 4 picks. They're all going to be out here for the first 12 games. How do we not win total points? I mean, that just means that we suck at picking players if we can't do that. It'll probably be because Jeremiah Love's not playing half the season. But, the idea is, we're getting these guys, without their buys for the chance at the auto bids. I'd rather almost stack that up and swing into it, But I think, from here on out, we got to be a little bit cautious and try to at least give ourselves some decent picks that we can have a competitive team when we actually get there. If we do, and we're in week 14 and we need to get in, that would be devastating. But I think a lot of times when you're in week 14, there is money on the line, like Pete said, but you've either auto bid or it's a tricky uphill battle either way. Like, how much does it affect your win percentage? I think it's easy to overstate in your mind in August.
And I will say, when you look at the price, we get Tyler Warren at 312. We see Fanning go at 5.2, Laporta at 5.7. Not saying those are bad picks, but just, man, you start to see how Tyler Warren can massively separate even from those guys.
for sure. I also wonder like how much this discount will even be available because the Warren injury doesn't look especially serious, and he still has massive upside in tight end premium. It seems like the offense is really going to be built around him in some key ways, and his skill set really fits with racking up catches. Not if he breaks out, like he's going to be very tight end premium friendly. So maybe he sits down here at the 3-4 turn for a long time, but I could also see this being one of the cheaper prices that is available on him.
I agree.
So
and probably Love too. I mean, is Love going to just consistently sit in the 4th round? I don't think so, but maybe.
Have we gotten a concrete timeline from the team on it? Because that will drive kind of sentiment ultimately.
Yeah, and I don't think we have. I haven't seen anything.
In the Warren thing, it's a groin, right? Breece Hall just got the groin, and they said 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah. So I don't think the Warren thing is a massive.
Yeah, Breece Hall went in the middle of the 3rd here. That's not radically different from where he's been going. So
no.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts comes off the board to the 9 hole. We are 2 picks away at the 5-6 turn. CeeDee Lamb, Trey McBride, Tyler Warren, Jeremiah Love to start this draft. The bye week bros are terrified. The injury bros are terrified. We are making everyone petrified with how we are drafting tonight.
I think there's a number of picks that make sense for the team now. I'm curious to see who Sean and Ben are into, but I think that we're going to end up being pretty happy. Okay, great. Awesome.
I think the board looks awesome right now.
That was one of them.
Judkins was one of them for me too. Okay.
He's a perfect guy to pair with Love early.
Right.
Sean got me on him. I'm not going to take credit for this at all, but Sean's been talking about him like he's the greatest running back of all time. He's the best player.
He's not, but he's undervalued by a couple rounds.
Didn't you hear Todd Monken? He's a bull, he said. He loves him.
It is weird because it does feel like FFPC drafters 2 years ago would have drafted Quinshon Judkins in the 3rd round. Ben, you're fist pumping. Who are you fist pumping?
I'm guessing Sean's also excited about this guy. I don't know. Pat, I think you were out on Jameson Williams last year. I think Jameson Williams is one of the very best picks in this range. I have him ranked a lot higher than this.
I like J-Mo. I also see Bucky in the queue.
The running backs, with Bucky was the guy I thought you were fist pumping about. That's who I was internally fist pumping on.
I'm fine playing Bucky, but the guy I'm super excited about is
I'm good with Jameson.
But
I don't
Bucky
have any real pushback there at all.
Sounds fun. Yeah. Sean, don't we have 24 seconds?
Sean, who do you like?
It out.
Well, the other direction you can go here is just take some Travion and Jadarian Price together.
You just click Bucky.
Well, I know I clicked Bucky. We were down.
I'd be happy with Travion too. I think Travion 601 is pretty.
I'm with Gretch. I would love a JMO share. I do. I also think he's undervalued. All right, we go. Sean is like he moves like in the night. He's very.
I know.
Very
you don't know.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. Sean doesn't want Jameson Williams ADP to go any higher, and that's why I didn't want to take him. I'm like 95% sure on this point.
Well, he did wait for him to go from 5'12" to 6'1", so that kind of preserves him as a 6th
yeah.
round
Well,
pick
I think that fits with what you're saying for sure.
I think
Ben was so mad when we didn't take him at 508 yesterday.
No, I wasn't mad, but
he was. Furious.
I did circle back to the idea of whether it was the right move, and we got sniped 1 pick ahead of us at the 604 before the 605. The Jameson Williams thing, to me, I understand what he's been up to this point. He didn't really run very many routes in his first 2 seasons for a number of reasons. He ran about 475 in his 3rd year, and it was a really good year. He ran over 600 last year. He was either 5th or 6th in the NFL in wide receiver routes. The fact that he's actually had like a quiet offseason, I don't think people are factoring in enough. The fact that the vibes aren't horrible anymore about Jameson Williams, I don't think people are factoring in enough. The fact that he was a 600 route runner last year and is just a locked-in starter on an offense that's going to be hyper-concentrated. They had to pay second contracts to all of their studs, like Gibbs and J-Mo and Amon-Ra, Penei Sewell and Aiden Hutchinson, all those guys that were drafted between 2021 and 2023. There's more. Jack Campbell. They've all been paid second contracts, so they had to let Cleve Freeman go. They had to let David Montgomery go. All the free agents they brought in, 1-year deals, $2 million or less. Isaiah Pacheco, Tyler Conklin, Greg Dortch, Cedric Wilson, all 1-year deals, all $2 million or less. They don't have depth. They're going to play these guys a massive amount. Jameson
Tesla
Williams
stinks.
He's terrible. Jameson Williams has run over 600 routes, or he did last year. That was the first season. Everyone's really caught up on the Laporta with and without splits. But my point about the year 3 only running about 475 routes is to emphasize how big the jump in routes was last year. And it was a career low in targets per route that I don't think is going to stick. That they did forget about him in the first half. I think they were going to get him more involved in the second half regardless. You go look at his game logs down the stretch without Laporta. He was a 1,400 yard paced receiver, which there's like 5 of those guys, a season. I mean, that's a massive, massive amount of production. His ADOT the last 2 years has been way lower because they use his speed horizontally. He's not just a deep threat. Like, I have concerns about Christian Watson's ADOT being so high and Alec Pierce's before he got hurt. No one likes him anymore anyway. But Jameson Williams is not a pure deep threat. He's a guy whose ADOT's like 12 because they throw to him short. They use his speed horizontally, and he has massive yak numbers like those other deep threats don't have. He's got great ball in hand. He's got depth, target at different depths. Target volume at different depths, and he's going to run way more routes this year than I think people are really accounting for because he didn't really do it until year 4, and it wasn't like that great of a year last year. You can make these Laporta splits and all these things. This is like you don't see a lot of year 5 breakouts, but this is like a slow ascendancy. To me, he's the exact same thing as George Pickens last year. This is the argument I made with Pickens. It's a different scenario with changing teams, but it was an ascendancy. There's a lot of production, and people didn't understand how many more routes Pickens was going to run and how good he is at football and what that was going to mean in terms of how that was going to come together. I think it was a year 4, year 5 breakout for him last year. I see Williams as that guy in this range this year that people aren't realizing this is the career season, almost certainly. I mean, it would be shocking to me if it's not a career season for him.
Fire me up, Ben. You got me fired up for the JMO selection here. And best of all, guys, we just drafted 2 players that are both healthy and don't have a bye in week 14. So that's a huge step of progress.
Hell yeah. Look at us.
CeeDee Lamb, Trey McBride,
Devontae Adams
Jeremiah
went
Love.
late.
Yeah. Dreaming of Sundays, a ship chaser. He started Brock Bowers. And I got to call out Dreaming of Sundays because he's been one of the guys that laments that nobody knows how to piss anymore. Nobody knows how to draft a bunch of wide receivers. He goes Barkley, Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, Bashal Tutin in rounds 2 through 5, and then gets the Devontae Adams gift in round 6. So well done there, Dreaming of Sundays, even if you're a hypocrite.
Yeah, we talked about 0 running back, but we took our second receiver there at the 602. So I mean, I know we got the 2 tight ends, but
let's talk about Bucky. Sean, where are you at on Irving here? It seemed like you preferred Judkins if possible, but we're pretty good with Irving there as well.
Yeah, with Judkins, you obviously have the concerns about the offense, but this may be just the irrational optimism and all that type of thing. The Browns are the other team that, I mean, they're almost certainly going to get terrible quarterback play, and yet I think the offense is going to be decent because they have so many fun pieces. And Quinshon Judkins, when they talk about him, and even when you go back to what he was in college, and the reason he was an interesting pick with all of the stuff that happened right before the season last year, when they talk about him like he's a completely different species than the other backs on their team. And Dylan Sampson was a superstar in college. So you're not talking about completely street free agents when you're making some of those comparisons. Bucky Irving, is basically, LaShawn McCoy. The question is, how healthy will he be? And, just how many of these touches he loses. Pat, when you were saying Bucky right there, are you feeling, the new offense, the new teammates, how do you think this is going to break down in terms of letting Bucky have that sort of LaShawn McCoy ceiling?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like, he doesn't have to have that ceiling to be an awesome pick at the 512. Like, I think the biggest thing for me with Bucky is that people are kind of out now. We got burned. He was an awesome pick as a rookie. Then we got burned with the late second round ADP last year. And, even though he did get like a lot of work, the offensive line was hurt. It wasn't the run out we wanted. Now they bring in Gainwell. There's been a lot of talk about how much like Gainwell. Baker was like, I think, adopting him the other day. He was like really, really singing his praises. So, that stuff is concerning, but I've been digging into the legendary running back stuff, and I'm going to write up the the guys past the first two rounds, kind of that 3 through 5 or 3 through 6 range this year. And Irving was kind of a fun one to dig into the numbers on, because you're like, he catches he catches the ball. He's not just like the low value touch stuff only. He's not a trap back because he catches the ball on the early downs. And yeah, Gainwell's going to eat into some of the receptions, but I've been a little bit encouraged with like Sean Tucker playing in the preseason a bunch when Gainwell, and I mean, I guess they like maybe don't have enough depth not to play him, but Tucker being treated like a big part of the committee, that's where I'd get nervous on Bucky, because I think Tucker can play, and you could end up in kind of a pretty gross committee that way. But if it really is like Bucky as a 1A with Gainwell as a 1B and Tucker mixing in some, I think he's going to be an awesome pick in this range because he still catches the ball, even if Gainwell has kind of a long down and distance 2-minute drill role.
Yep.
Contrast that with Henderson in terms of how you see it working. One of the reasons I mentioned Henderson with the pick there is that, I mean, Jameson Williams, for the reasons Ben mentioned, is a great pick. But one of the potential advantages you have at the 12 that you can use to balance out some of the extreme disadvantages is that you are positioned to have Price and Henderson right there before a massive tier break at running back. And we pass those guys through, which made sense, but it is something you obviously have to deal with.
I like Henderson. Good.
No, I was going to circle back to I said I was 95% sure that Sean was just trying to keep, I was totally joking or exaggerating in that claim. I know Sean likes Jameson. He's always really liked Jameson, but I did want to drill down on that point because I kind of feel like he did want to go running back there before the big tier break. Make sure we get enough running back depth early. We talked about the receiver values later. I can understand that point too, even as excited as I got about Jameson. But Sean, you would have wanted to go Price Henderson at that turn, essentially. You would have wanted to take both the young guys.
Well, I'm not as high on Price as a lot of people, but I think there are positives there, and certainly there is a tier break after those guys.
I think my concern with Henderson on this team, again, with Jeremiah Love, and then having Henderson, who essentially could be a handcuff play early too, could be a lot of capital spent on running backs not giving us any production after the gate, where I think Bucky's going to score for us right out of off the
Bucky's going to score pretty well right out of the gate if he's worth taking there, right? That's probably the big difference between him and Henderson for me, where I think Henderson is going to be not the third down guy. Like Ramondre has been trusted in pass protection this summer and was trusted last year, and then not necessarily a goal line back. He's more of he could be if they wanted, but I don't think that's really his role. So he's more of like an explosive rushing complement. And if it happens for Henderson, he's going to be one of those guys you almost need. But we did that with Love. Like that's kind of, he's a similar bet to me with Love, where it's like when it goes right, it goes really right. Bucky, I think, is a little bit of a lower ceiling play outside of, Gainwell going down or something and it consolidating to him. But just like without an injury, this guy just takes over the backfield and is a star. That is more Henderson to me than Irving. But I like Irving's fit better with the team when you already have Jeremiah Love.
I think it's a good point. I like that point. I think Henderson is going to be, people are going to be victory lapping the Ramondre over Henderson thing in week 3. And then it's just a question of
that's a misunderstanding of both plays. Like if he's not winning in week 3, then you are screwed as a drafter.
All right, we are about to pick here at the 7-8 turn. We've seen George Kittle, Kincaid likely come off the board in this round. The wide receivers, Metcalf, Sutton, Josh Downs. Our second quarterback, Lamar. Everybody really pushing quarterback in this one. We have CeeDee Lamb, Trey McBride, Tyler Warren, Jeremiah Love, Bucky Irving, and J-Mo. What are you guys thinking about here? Probably no quarterbacks with this build at the 7-8 turn.
I agree.
Probably need to keep getting skill
As
possession.
the guy who would be most likely to push us to a quarterback, Drake May. I agree with you.
It's sad to see Jordan Tyson's name in the queue. No longer a viable pick in this range, sadly.
Sean's got 2 more running backs that he really wants to take. I don't love them, but I We didn't get them last night, and they're actually the top 2 on my rankings sheet now, Sean. It is late enough.
Well,
so I had moved Michael Wilson up kind of high after seeing that first. Well, we have 2 Cardinals.
We can't do 3.
We can't do 3
sorry.
Cardinals.
Sorry. Ignore that.
We are on the clock.
I think this is Sean's running backs.
Because the wide receivers are wiped here.
Yeah.
Well, Downs went. Okay. So they are
Downs
pretty
went.
wiped.
We're at like Tyson, Pittman, QJ, Wilson, Pierce by 80.
I like my top running back is Corum and then Bill, and I'd be fine with those guys. But I don't know. Who do you like here, Sean?
So Sean likes Corum. So let's take Corum. If Pat, you like him too.
Corum's my top ranked player that's not Drake May, and I'm fine not taking Drake May on this build.
Yes, I think Corum makes
I'm
sense
less
here.
Excited about Corum, but we should take him.
But we need alternatives. If
Yeah.
the
The other guy Sean has here is RJ Harvey, and
I have Harvey a few picks down, but I mean the Harvey like Coleman looking like he can play is not good.
Yeah,
you know. So I would probably be Bill as a swing. You get the lead back on that backfield if we wanted to go running back, but
I've got Bill ranked a little bit lower still. Sean, what's your take on Harvey? Give us your take. No, I don't think we want to go QB.
I know. I just got to do it.
I would go Harvey over Bill. And I think
okay,
Sean wants Harvey.
I'm fine with Harvey if
who do
you guys are strong Harvey.
Who do you like here, Pete?
No, I'm with you guys. It's the running back. I'm good with Harvey.
I think
let's do Harvey.
We got 15 seconds for me to just say if Bill hits, he's going to hit the ground running in a way that Corum likely won't and Love likely won't. So from a team fit
Corum's
perspective,
Corum's
okay.
gonna
We can
play
take Harvey.
week 1.
We can take Harvey.
The only thing about bringing up
Sean
at the Harvey. Oh my God, this guy! I love it.
This is why you can't talk with 15 seconds. Sean will just do whatever the last thing
Well,
is.
Even I can't talk. I'm going to talk all the time now.
God damn it. I should have clicked it. I got the freaking draft room open. Sean's so adamant about not taking his own guy. Oh my God. I said I think Bill like the 7 spots down.
That if Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt hits the ground, I mean, if he's what the Commanders say, and the Commanders had very poor running back production last season. Their total team EP to the position was low. You go back to 2024, you have Jaden Daniels. I mean, you got a big play guy. Bill had 800 yards despite the fact that his snap counts last season were incredibly low. And he did break some big runs, but his boom percentage was actually very low. It's tough because this is another one of the teams that is not going to throw passes to the running back. And RJ Harvey could probably pay off there if he never carries the ball this season. And he may not because the Cardinals are so much better ball carriers. But I mean, he's another guy where it could be very frustrating. Harvey is one of the biggest swings, I think, where he's either Alvin Kamara or he doesn't play very much at all. And you have a 0. I think he sets up better than Henderson, but they're very similar plays. They both score 200 points as rookies. I mean, you consider how good those guys were in college, how many points they scored as rookies, and now people hate them. I mean, that part of it is weird, and yet at the same time, it also tracks because we do know that each of them has had issues. Okay, and so you look at this and you think about the team that we have. I also really like Blake Corum.
Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is a good pick. No one's saying he's a bad pick. I have him as a target. I have him a little ways down. I had Jordan Mason ahead of him, for example, but I don't really stand on that too hard. What just happened is I now have to take more RJ Harvey in my drafts with Sean. I was trying to get one of those shares out of the way here where it seemed like we had a little bit. See, you talked him off that. He's a nice guy. He goes your direction. And now what's going to happen is he's thinking, well, if we take Harvey here, we're going to take him in every draft. I know I can convince Ben. I listened to Ben say that Harvey was a decent pick. I'm going to remind him that the next time we do a main event. He just got me to admit that I would take RJ Harvey. And then he was like, all right, good. I'm not going to take him on this team, but I'm going to take him the next time that I want to take him. That's what just happened.
Well, that is fascinating.
I will say, Sean, who do you think has more, again, just thinking about how we make this team work? Obviously the Corum stuff, he might not score super well right out of the gate either. do you think of Harvey as a guy who has standalone value out of the gate, or you're kind of waiting for some chaos to kick in? Because I do think Bill, again, similar with Bucky, like we're starting Bucky and Bill, probably week 1 and needing that production right away.
Yeah, I probably talked to myself into too much enthusiasm about Corum, but I do think if people look at just the second half of last season, then most of the gap between Kyren Williams and Blake Corum wouldn't exist at all. And so from that perspective, you're getting a great price on Corum. You're probably getting a bad price on both guys. And so that is the other side of it. But Corum is the more explosive guy. He was the more explosive guy last year, and they talk about him being night and day different in training camp this year. The contrast between him and Kyren Williams on normal carries should be pretty dramatic. And if you're getting that from the far cheaper player in an offense that people like to be either the best, one of the best, going to score among the most touchdowns in the NFL, is going to score more touchdowns to the running backs again this year than they did last year, because they don't have to prove that they can make Devontae Adams a goal line wide receiver. I think that Corum has a lot of standalone value, actually.
Yeah, I think he's got some. I work like with the team, as we talked about the open where you got Warren and Love. He's not like moving the needle probably in the early part of the season. To me, I like the Corum pick. As I said, he was my highest, flex eligible player when we took him. But it is more, I think, of a big home run swing, at least the way I see it, like where he takes over the backfield by the end of the season because he's just a way better runner, but probably starts out as like a 1B or at least like a 50-50 split, but Kyron's probably getting more of the pass down stuff. I don't think Corum's going to have a lock on the goal line. I think that's probably split, maybe even all season. So, yeah, the way it fit the team is partly why I was into Bill there, because Harvey, I don't know. Like, I just don't know with Harvey. I like Harvey more in best ball, where when he has randomly 4 receptions, he rips off a long run, just hits my lineup. Like that I think is pretty key for me with the Harvey thing. When we have Coleman coming on and they're playing him, they're pulling him, they're like, well, I've seen enough. He looked exactly like he did in practice. Really psyched about that. If this is a 3-way split with a guy in Coleman who can catch the ball and is a big guy, it just makes Harvey's path to like being a fun weekly start a lot thinner, I think. So to me, they're both kind of big home run swings. What'd you say?
It certainly kills J.K. Dobbins.
It's not great for Dobbins. You already have the injury stuff, and you already have the lack of receiving stuff, and then you have the fact that, what Dobbins didn't have last year, I kept talking all offseason about how good Dobbins actually was, and he's not washed because he was really, really good last year. But you have a really good third running back in the backfield now, and that's going to change things. And Jonah Coleman looks like he's a legitimately really good third running back, and so that's a problem. I love there's a Stealing Signals subscriber in the chat that pointed out that he said the live updating of the rankings by Ben right now. I was moving Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt up a little bit because I did have too many names in between, and I'm liking where we took him. I did not move him ahead of RJ Harvey, but I did move him up a couple spots. And then we saw Pollard fall last night. We're seeing him fall here again. Yeah. And I was like, I still didn't really want to take him last night, and I wouldn't want to take him here, so I had to move Pollard down. I was like, he was the best running back on my list at that point, and I was like, I don't want to draft him at this point though, so he goes down in the ranks.
So
in real time,
people want to talk about this team out of the 3 hole. So you want to talk about piss and yellow. Jamar Chase, Drake London, Nico Collins grabs Josh Allen, comes back with Rome Odunze, Chris Godwin, Cortland Sutton as wide receiver 6, then grabs Drake May to pair with Allen, and finally says, you know what? Pollard in the 9th is a good spot to get my RB1.
Pollard in the 9th. What is with the Allen May decision?
Ideological.
I think he's just trying to scoop value, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. No, it was. Tony Pollard, though. That can make that team work. Get some touches early.
Yeah.
Is he hoping for a reverse Taysom Hill where Drake May will get non-quarterback eligibility?
You desperately need that pick in the 8th round for something else when you take Josh Allen 3 rounds before any other QB. You've made the decision that Josh Allen is the QB1 by a lot, probably. And you don't have a running back or a tight end yet. So maybe don't take a second QB before your first running back or your first tight end.
Here's a fun thought experiment. Now thinking back to like running back at the start versus what we did. If we do go running back there, I assume we're still pretty interested in Tyler Warren, Jeremiah Love. The board has fallen in a way where there have not been slam dunk wide receiver selections for us. In a way, I feel pretty good having CeeDee Lamb up there based on how this is going.
100%.
As the guy who let out a groan when CeeDee Lamb came off, I am agreeing with that call quite a lot. I love this guy in 1. He took Parker Washington 412. We've gone that far. And also Olave 301 was really high. Diggs at 612.
Wow.
Caught my eye. And now we get Stribling here at the 8-9 turn, 901. I mean, Stribling's rising, but that's aggressive on Stribling too. That guy likes his, Diggs at 612 is the one that stood out the most to me. I don't know if I'm that high on Diggs. That's pretty high.
Wow. I thought Diggs was still available. I was like I was gonna try to be like, guys, I think we should take Stephon Diggs here. I didn't no idea he was gone. That is wild.
Yes, no Diggs for us tonight.
Notice I didn't bring him up at the last turn.
I thought he was available and didn't think he was worth the pick at the 7-8.
Yeah.
All right, we're about to pick at the 9-10 turn. Some of the names coming off the board. We see Tyler Algier in round 9 here. Mekhi Lemon comes off. That would have been a nice one to fall back to us. Hurts. We mentioned Pollard, QJ Stribling, Mark Andrews, Justin Herbert. 2 away here.
906 Tyler Algier. That's what we're doing with the Love injury. That's aggressive, man.
Sure are.
They're going to play like James Conner. You realize this, right? Like he's not Jeremiah Love. Like the offensive concerns matter for a guy like Tyler Algier. The lack of like touchdown production for the offense, the fact that it's mostly just going to be garbage time TDs, that matters for a guy like Tyler Algier. It doesn't matter as much for Jeremiah Love, but
the golden goes. Sean had him in the queue. He would have been an interesting selection for this team. Man, I don't love QB. I don't love tight end. I wish can we find a wide receiver we like here?
I think we can.
I think we can too.
One exactly.
Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Xavier Worthy I'd be into. I would be curious where you guys are on Tyson at this point. Obviously, he's going to miss a big chunk of the season, but provides upside to a thinner wide receiver room.
I had moved him down quite a lot. I moved him to wide receiver 72. I think this is like a really challenging thing to do with the rest of your rookie season.
Yeah. It's more like I wanted to float it.
It sounds like we have a consensus. Sean, I assume you like Worthy here as well as a wide receiver selection.
Should I click Worthy before he clicks Tyson because he came out of Pat's mouth?
That's why I said Worthy again quickly. It sounds like we have a consensus on Worthy, and then. Sean, who are you liking with this next pick?
Yeah, it's tricky because several of these teams being so wide receiver heavy has wiped out the normal values that are there. I mean, that's Xavier Worthy barely goes before the 11-12 turn. But the other thing that really causes a problem is Jaden Higgins' injury thins things out a ton.
Yep.
That's the end of the wide receiver window for me. I have my big tier break in my rankings after that.
Sean has Keaton Mitchell at the top of the queue right now. Is that where you're leaning?
That's where I'm leaning.
That's probably where
or the QB. Go. I mean, I think you could go the QB pick at this point, but I would take Keaton.
QB still feels flat to me in a way. I wouldn't mind pushing it one more time.
What do you think, Pat? Keaton Mitchell?
If you guys want to do Mitchell, I'm good with that here.
Who would be your other suggestion, Pat?
That's all right. Pat signed off on it, so Sean clicked.
Well, we didn't have that with Pat on
It's 13 seconds.
Yeah, probably Hurts, but Hurts went. So yeah, I don't. Yeah. There's no one that was really jumping out to me. The thing that I did think was intriguing was going Tyson was the guy's like probably not coming back, even if it's not like an ideal value. But like,
yeah,
you just look at how the team shakes out, as we head into the back half of the season, and it's like, yeah, this is a super team. Obviously, though, there's a lot of risk with his situation at this point.
Well, we just took our RB3, so we're in good shape.
Do you think that he seems like someone who will actually get cut? And then he's one of the types of players
Tyson,
that I like to
you might
bid
be
on
right
quite
about
a
that.
bit. Like when he is cut in week 5, and now you're suddenly closer that you put in a big bid for him.
I like that point a lot. Yeah, I could see that for sure. And yeah, I've been thinking like in best ball, I wouldn't be taking him there. I actually timed out on him last night at the 8:01 and like nearly threw my computer. So I do, I want more of a discount in best ball, but I kind of want to just talk through the managed part of it because, as like an intentional roster clogger, he's pretty interesting, right? But I get your point there. He might get cut. There's a good chance he gets cut.
As somebody who had moved him all the way to 72 and felt like maybe I was being aggressive, but I'm really concerned about the roster clogger element and all that. But in a league this deep, in the actual main event, you get these bigger rosters. If you want to make that commitment, I think he's justifiable a lot higher than wide receiver 72. I probably still don't like him at that pick, but I think he's justifiable a lot.
Yeah, it's more like, hey, how do we get? Because why he was on my mind is like, how do we get wide receiver upside on this team where we're flexing Warren every week, so it's like a 3 wide receiver team down the stretch, and it's like who are guys that are just locked and loaded every week. That's partly why I was kind of intrigued by him there, but again, I'm also totally fine that we didn't take him because he's going to miss a lot of the season. And as we talked about, we're kind of playing this team as one that needs to get a 1 or 2 seed ideally. So maybe he's actually a pretty bad pick for this team.
The reason he would have been a decent pick for this team is week 14.
Oh yeah.
We probably would have played him week 14.
When we're the 4 seed, he actually
if your whole plan is to make a good enough team to survive week 14, Jordan Tyson's a pretty good pick for that plan.
Yeah, he does finally come off the board here.
But guys, you're burying the lead. Have you heard about Keaton Mitchell?
The best running back in the league.
Sean
Mitchell is someone.
Do we have any clips? Do we have any behind the end zone clips? I need the sideline camera to show you guys.
We're still looking for it. I dig around on the internet. I've got like a Claude agent trying to.
Don't we have some training camp, like swing pass, wheel route?
Mitchell. Deep routes, full bombs. Like they're splitting them out wide and running them on go routes. 2 long touchdowns from training camp on bombs, RB air yards. Did you see my Keaton Mitchell piece, Pat? The sideline view thing is a little bit justified by the stat that I dropped in that. He had the most plays of all running backs as a ball carrier or the most carries over 20 plus yards with, I believe it was 7. The 2 guys at 6 were Jahmyr Gibbs and Jonathan Taylor. They both had 250 plus carries. He had 59 carries and he hit 20 plus miles an hour 7 times, more than any other back in the league. Yeah. It's absurd. It's the most absurd stat of the offseason. He is the most explosive player in the league.
Here's the squad: CeeDee Lamb, Trey McBride, Tyler Warren, Jeremiah Love, Bucky Irving, J-Mo, Blake Corum, Bill, Xavier Worthy, Keaton Mitchell. Sean, are we getting Devon Achane 2.0 when we select Keaton Mitchell here?
Yeah, or just straight up Chris Johnson.
Yeah, God. There's certain guys that like every year that like I feel like I fall into like 3 buckets with the kind of like the more speculative, like can you open your third eye type of plays. The most fun one is I also have my third eye open and I'm drafting the shit out of them. The least fun one is I just genuinely can't see it and I don't want to be in on this player. Keaton has now elevated to like, I'm never going to get where you guys are, but happy to get a share when you're on chip chasing.
I just want you to take a little puff of this, Pat, and you'll get there.
I'll take a puff. I'll take a
just
puff.
A little
I'm
puff.
happy to take a puff.
I mean, can we watch some training camp videos of him catching bombs? And can I send you my Keaton Mitchell and running back air yards pieces?
I've already read them.
What about,
I'm never going to get there. That's what I'm telling you. I'm trying, man.
I'm trying.
Sean, what about Xavier Worthy? I feel like people feel like they've been burned by him. He can't stay healthy, yada, yada. Could he ever materialize into a guy we feel comfortable starting each and every week.
I think so, and certainly he was going to have a big season last year before like Travis Kelce almost intentionally injures him on the first play of the year. And then, Andy Reid talks about how we then, in order to protect him, removed all of the things he does well from the game plan. So you certainly can't evaluate him from last season. The issue is that he's small, he's been injured, injuries stick to players, he's injured right now. I mean... So from that perspective, from that perspective, his ADP makes some sense. Otherwise, his ADP would be really weird. But again, the Chiefs. Kenneth Walker needs to be unbelievable because they've got a lot of other problems, and the Chargers and the Broncos are the two best teams in the NFL.
I'm looking at the queue, Sean. I don't see a single wide receiver. We might just end this draft with CeeDee Lamb, J-Mo, and Xavier Worthy as the only guys we need.
We're flexing a tight end. We're flexing, presumably, Keaton Mitchell week 1. I don't think we need any more receivers. You only got to start 2.
That's true. CeeDee Lamb, J-Mo. That's all we need. Xavier Worthy covers their bye week.
Can we please not flex Keaton Mitchell week 1? Can we at least see it one time?
Live a little.
I did. He's on the team.
This is the team where we need to find the rookie year Puka. You get Puka on the waiver wire. We spend the $920 and we get the league winning rookie wide receiver smash.
I think that dude is going in round 16. I did just put him in the queue, so
okay.
Hopefully
Well, you put like 6 guys in the queue, so I don't know which one of these, but now I'm excited to know which one is this year's Puka. If you could privately DM me that would be great.
There is another receiver as well who is not as good as Jordan Tyson, but I do think, especially because he's healthy, perhaps could do some of the things that Tyson could do. So he's someone else for us to be considering kind of as we move through. His ADP is always a little bit tricky because he's more expensive than you'd want. But
I assume it wasn't Jacoby Myers who just came off the board that you're describing?
It was not Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers, he's the best player in the NFL who has no fantasy value.
I knew. I was about to say Sean is about to say something so devastatingly mean in the nicest way possible, and that's exactly what you did.
The backhand was so good there.
That's pretty good, man.
He's
That's
so
a
good.
tennis
He's
player
so
right
good.
there. That backhand.
Sean, you put a lot of really good receivers in the queue.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention one that's really boring in case he goes. Who cares if he goes? Why does Khalil Shakir go? I think he should go before
I have a
these
ton
guys.
of Khalil Shakir in best ball, man. A ton of them.
Is this a spot we look at a quarterback? Dak and Lawrence are the only two have come off the board since Herbert and
I think
Hurts
we
in round
want to be
9.
open to it for sure.
Yeah, let's chill on that for a second because this guy doesn't have one. I don't know if he's watching the stream.
I generally like the guys in the queue. It looks like the receivers are a little further down. Are you thinking receiver?
Yeah, I just sort of put him in.
Okay.
In bunches of by position.
Got it.
As opposed to
Got it. Okay. I feel like there's a pretty clear pick here that isn't normally a guy I take. So we'll see. But
Oh, now I'm intrigued to your.
I have one that I really like, so I hope it's the same. But also, why is Chris Rodriguez still on the board?
well, yeah, I think he's a pretty good pick here too. That's not who I meant, but I would be down.
Sean's not going to like that because he wants to play Bashal Tootin. He's never.
He's
gonna-
in the
All right,
queue.
Sean, let's
Sean
use the
put him in the
clock.
queue.
I put him in the queue. I didn't want to forget about him. No,
Caleb
that's your
Williams.
second
Caleb goes.
quarterback.
I wanted.
Yeah.
Come on.
People- All right.
All right, we're never taking a quarterback.
I think we wait on quarterback again now.
I would be fine to take Mahomes here with Worthy. I think that's a pretty good pick there.
that's
Fine
true.
if you guys don't want to do it, but I think he's at least worth discussing.
Mm-hmm.
once we lose Williams there, it seems like we could. I mean, in these drafts, at least one of interesting QB almost always falls really.
I'm fine to wait if you guys want to wait.
Yeah, let's wait. What's the pick?
Coker and
though? I don't
Boston,
have-
I think, are both really interesting picks here.
Boston,
Coker.
I'm not as much of a cokehead. I think Boston is maybe the bigger swing. even though it's
Definitely
the Browns.
the bigger swing. Yeah. I'm good with Boston. He's going to get the UW helmet
Bow
on.
down to Washington.
Producer, roll another Husky curse clip.
We got another pick.
Yeah. Sean, you got someone you think we have to have on this team?
No. The player I have at the top of the queue, I think, is a good pick, but he doesn't fit this squad as well and goes later.
Do you guys want to do the Chris Rodriguez and just make sure we cover our running back ground early?
I think Rodriguez does make sense for the team. We're going to find out quickly what the plan is in Jacksonville. It could be the type of pick that we're really happy to have had, even if he doesn't add much later in the season. I know he's not the biggest swing, but I think it's fine. If there's someone else you guys really want, though, I'm not pounding the table.
I don't have anyone screaming at me.
I don't have a strong lean. Him, Coker, Shakir.
Sean, you make this pick. Exec decision, Sean Siegele with 4 seconds. Chris Rodriguez. Come on down.
You didn't want Chris Rodriguez. That was not a Sean Siegele exec decision.
That was
this was kind of one of those where he was the right pick right here. I do think that like working backward from the end when we're done, we'll have felt like even though it was the right pick by ADP, an interesting structural pick, that it'll squeeze out someone that we could have reached for, that we won't be able to now get onto the roster. But
then you should have made the executive pick that was the one that you wanted.
Well, we hadn't talked about any of those guys we would have had to reach for. So
well, you wanted Coker, right?
I mean, this comes back to the thing where every time we take a Panther, you're like, they're not going to score any points.
That's true. Yeah, no, they're not going to score any points. You're right. That's actually a fair point. I'm glad we don't have him. I remember the trip to Miami, though. Last year, the ship chasing trip to Miami, me and Pat talked about Jalen Coker the entire trip. And he's still not.
And Rico Dowdle.
And Rico Dowdle, and you nailed me on that one.
Yeah, I like what we're doing here. We're being patient at quarterback. Worrying about Jeremiah Love early season production feels like an eternity ago when you add Bucky, Blake Corum, Bill, Keaton Mitchell, and Chris Rodriguez there. I mean, we're going to find 3-4 really good running back starts each week with this room.
I think so. And then we have Love coming on and Warren coming on, hopefully quickly, but yeah.
Where'd my other headphone go?
Denzel Boston is the guy I was saying who could do Jordan Tyson things. And I mean, it's not as clean of a play, in part because despite having maybe the worst season in NFL history last year, Jerry Jeudy does seem like he still is a part of it. The thing that's interesting with Boston is it's much more difficult to actually get him involved in the offense than Concepcion, where they can more or less manufacture the plays. And Concepcion is just very, very good at that. And his prospect profile is so much fun from that perspective. Boston is the guy where if one of them is actually a star, it's more likely to be him.
Yeah.
Boston has had an incredible camp too. I mean, he's like already their starting X. Like he's, I think, going to be, I mean, I agree with your take that like he is more hurt by the being on the Browns, but he's this type of play, like the prospect profile that I feel like is a fairly like a lower probability bet than people generally perceive. But there is clear upside to that archetype as well. And so I'm definitely intrigued by how strong of a camp he's had, and then earning like he's their starting X like today. That's cool. I'm pretty into that. So as far as like the way I want to kind of add receivers right now, I think swinging for the fences, like we have running backs, we've got 2 tight ends. We need guys who are going to be like easy starts for us. That's, and it might take a few weeks or half the year before those guys become that. But I think Boston definitely fits that big swing.
Yeah.
I need somebody in the chat to rewind the stream and see where my headphones popped off, which direction they popped off to.
The
when
helmet
I took my helmet off.
Your earbud?
Yeah. I took my helmet off. Both headphones went flying. I need someone to tell me. One was at my feet. The other one, is it on my desk? Is it? I got a lot of
Wow.
junk in my office. It's
You know
not
what,
clean.
Gretch? I expect this on Thanksgiving stream. I don't expect this from you on just a normal.
Again, I launched
August
a multi-year project today. 6 years of writing the best of stealing signals, and I didn't even have an active storefront. It was a stressful day.
Congrats on getting that out, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, huh? I was excited about it.
Gretch, tell people about it. It's would you call it an ebook?
Yeah, it's like an ebook, or it's a product that probably doesn't have a comparable. I mean, I know how that comes across. Dalton Schultz was one that, with Jaden Higgins out, Dalton Schultz should be rising, and he's not probably going to rise because he's Dalton Schultz, but I moved up, and I was vaguely thinking about it's like all the anyone who subscribed to my newsletter knows that I write a lot of like stream of consciousness stuff and a lot of digressions and things. Darren, who's in the chat here, went through and read the entire catalog in the last year and cut up all the different things and cataloged them. And like, if I went in a digression about a different topic within like a 0RB digression in a different post, he moved it to the 0RB section.
Oh, wow.
Tried to catalog everything so it's by topic and it's clickable to the different sections, and then there's links back to the table of contents and on every page, and it's a really cool
awesome,
thing.
Man.
Yeah, it's and I mean, shout out to him and the people like another subscriber named Scott who started the project years ago. Shout out to Sal Stefanelli who did some awesome design work for it, and it's a cool thing. It's a really huge like document that actually is like some of the like I'm usually like don't think my writing's actually that good or worth writing. I basically tell my readers that they're idiots for subscribing and reading anything that I say.
Stop
I wouldn't read me is one of my favorite things to say. But I read some of these and I'm like, it's cool to see, the stuff that I've written. I don't know that there's a lot of people that have written as much as I have for the last 6 years. I've written like fucking millions of words, probably like hundreds of thousands of words a year, because like stealing signals and everything else. And anyway, it's an incredibly big document, and it's out there. You can buy it. Cool.
Print it out. Go read it on the beach. There you go.
You won't be able to click around to the different sections if you print it out.
That's funny. All right. We're heading into round 13 here. Here's the squad so far. CeeDee Lamb, Trey McBride, Tyler Warren. Then we come back with Jeremiah Love, Bucky Irving, grab JMO there in the 6, Blake Corum and Bill at 7-8, Xavier Worthy and Keaton Mitchell, 9-10. And then we just grabbed Denzel Boston and Chris Rodriguez. Fortunately, some of these other teams on the front side of the board decided they should probably start grabbing running backs. So a few wide receivers still available, although Trey Harris comes off the board, as does another buzzy preseason riser in Jacoby Lane. Sean, what are your thoughts on the Jacoby Lane buzz? Are you buying or selling that one?
Well, he was one of my favorite draft prospects, and he was the guy that we told people to get in every dynasty draft. And so it's always fun when the two guys for us this year that we had that label for were Stribling and Lane. And Stribling's obviously benefited from very favorable team context kind of breaking his way, but then has played well, which there's no guarantee for someone with Stribling's profile where he does everything well, but was never a massive target hog. And so you're like, those things point in opposite directions, but doing everything well is a pretty big deal. Jacoby Lane. So with the SIS numbers, which are slightly different than a lot of the other numbers out there, if you include defensive pass interference yards with his regular yards, Lane, which obviously you wouldn't do, but just thinking it through, would have like an adjusted yards per route run that was just number 2 to Mekhi Lemon. So, and he's very athletic. He's a big guy with great lateral agility. The Ravens are probably not the perfect team to unlock that, but I think there's a chance that he's very, very good.
Yep.
Okay.
Jackson Dart comes off the board. Dylan Sampson can have the quarterback conversation again. Wide receiver definitely getting rough out there. You see a lot of names that you would be intrigued in a best ball draft, but then thinking through the managed element of these guys that could ever hit in a way where you'd feel comfortable starting is getting a little thinner.
There's one that
For sure.
feels pretty exciting to me.
Okay, I'm excited to
like the others, but yeah.
I mean, we should also just, he's not in the queue here, but I am curious, like on a squad like this where we are thin at wide receiver, do you consider Keenan Allen at these prices?
I mean, he didn't even have 800 yards either of the last 2 years, and now he's a year older. Like the targets per out stuff is really good. I think he's a good example of how we go a little far with the per out stuff and don't pay attention to the actual raw numbers enough. Like he's been.
We
good.
are
He's
on the
caught a lot
clock.
of passes.
It'd be helpful for the beginning of the season where we have the running backs there, but less so the other position. But
Pat, do you think we can wait on the one receiver till the next turn, or do you think we have to take him?
I think we should take him.
Or did I say Pat? I meant Sean. Sean's the Sean.
Well, these guys have been pulled way up. I mean, they're not going to make it through. So it's
Sean,
kind of like, I think the double tapping QB right here is pretty interesting. But the wide receivers, Pat, who are you when Ben said that? Who were you thinking at wide receiver?
Hunter.
I was thinking Pat Bryant, and we could get Nix. I want to do a Bryant Nix stack potentially. What do you?
We got to be careful saying names that we might want to get at another turn too. But let's.
I
like Nix. I like Nix a lot.
I think Nix is just a straight up good pick.
That was the one I asked Sean about whether he thought he'd come back, and he said he'd been getting pulled up, or I thought that's who I was trying to refer to. That's why I said his name.
Yeah, I think Nix is a good pick there. He's my highest ranked quarterback left, and yeah.
So Pat Bryant or Travis Hunter, right? We want to grab one of those two.
Yeah,
let's go Bryant. I mean, Bryant gives us a stack. I'm good with that. I think of the two, I mean, Hunter like literally didn't play any offense today. He's a straight up fucking cornerback. Anyone who takes him in this draft is a dumb.
That's why I think it's Bryant over Hunter. That's why I think it's Bryant over Hunter so clearly is that the Hunter thing
he legit might come back. Yeah.
Yeah. He should come back.
We don't have
at the next turn, we should take a kicker if he's still there.
Yeah. Should hammer the kickers. Honestly, Brandon Aubrey, not a bad pick this year. Dude kicks a lot of 50-yarders.
6th round pick on ESPN.
Yeah, no, Pat Bryant for this team with the few receivers that we have, I actually think was a really good pick. I mean, Peyton's been saying he's going to play a lot. I know Sean loves him, but his injury work got him scared because he had all these like nagging injuries last year. But I mean, he's a great pick at this point, is he not, Sean?
Well, I mean, hamstring concussion, just like every other week. Other than that, he's the best wide receiver on the Broncos because Courtland Sutton is the catch and fall down guy, and Jalen Waddle is maybe the one receiver less likely to actually show up for games.
No, come on, man. He's going to show up. How else is he going to be in the blue tent?
I think what Sean is trying to say is we just drafted the greatest fantasy team of all time if injuries didn't exist. Is the vibe I'm getting from
and that's true in a couple different ways for this slot.
So Sean,
honestly,
you were a Pat Bryant guy last year. I know you like Bo Nix. I know you like this offense. Do you think there is a path to, Pat Bryant being a clear, starter each week, even if it is like in a wide receiver 3 capacity?
I think so. He's just very, very good, right? You were talking about a guy who is a sizable person, catches the ball, runs after the catch. They've got a guy in Courtland Sutton who is a vertical guy, but not necessarily a separator. And then he does just catch and fall down. And then with Waddle, you have the speed guy, but not a reliable speed guy. Troy Franklin has talked a lot about like how bad he was last year. I mean, Troy Franklin through the bye was crushing that team in air yards. That's how desperately they need players. They're going to have potentially a more dynamic offense. The players, the offensive coordinator are pushing for some more up-tempo. Bo Nix is one of these guys where last year's ADP probably is a more accurate representation of what his scoring going forward will be than this year's ADP is. It profiles very positively, but the Broncos are in many ways the opposite of the Cowboys, where, their schedule is brutal. There is a scenario where their defense is so good, their games are so tough that they go into a little bit of a shell like they did last year. You don't want the whole season to be fourth quarter Bo Nix in terms of him just being the fourth quarter. Now, if you got fourth quarter Bo Nix from the beginning of the game, I mean, you're talking about a guy who should challenge QB5.
Yeah. Yeah, and we do. I feel like we timed the quarterback pick really well. I know we were interested in Caleb Williams there in the 11th if he came back. Mahomes, I also agree with Pat, was a good float there. But then Dart, Kyler, Brock come off the board. We grab Nix, and then you immediately see Stafford, Love, Goff go. So I like how we played that.
Which is like a group of really good targets. The only guy I had ranked above Nix was Stafford. I think Stafford's ADP is the funniest thing in the world because he's the one who had the spiked pass TD rate last year, and everybody has done a ton of fantasy work on this, that tends to regress the next year. Last year, the guy coming off from the year prior was Baker Mayfield, who was going like QB8. Stafford's going QB16 right now when he led the league in passing TDs last year and won the MVP, but he's also on the team that's projected to score the most points again this season. And if he threw the most passing TDs again this year and was the guy out of this range who spiked a pass TD rate, like that's what we should expect actually, because they're the team that is expected to score the most points. Jared Goff is going to lead this like super dynamic passing game, but Nix is a really, really fun play. I like him a lot there.
What do you think of Gretch on the? Oh, go ahead, Pat.
No, I was gonna. This is a complete tangent, so go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, how do you think through? Because I agree with you, Ben, on Stafford. How do you think of it though through the lens of the sprint not having like a Puka or Adams? Because like you said, when he hits, it's going to be so TD driven, 4 or 5 pass TDs, probably getting carried along with a Puka Adams. Do you think you can make that work in the sprint without one of those guys?
No, I think it's a great point that I wasn't thinking of because I don't play as much best ball as you, but that's a really sharp point, and I'm now even more glad that we took Nix. I already liked Nix because you guys were all super excited about it, but that's a really good point. I think you're right. I think you probably, in a format like this in a sprint, Stafford's throwing a bunch of TDs and they're going to be concentrated, and you need them to be passing TDs. I mean, you better, and we also have Blake Corum. Like, we want them to be rushing TDs. He's not catching any passes.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Nix Bryant stack is fun. Like, Bryant has had a really strong camp. He's Patty Ice now. His name is Patty Ice.
Oh, yeah.
No one has ever called me that. I can tell you that.
I was going to say,
that's
there's jealousy
Patty
there.
Ice is, yeah. It's a big deal, guys. I can tell you firsthand.
If we didn't call you that after winning Best Ball Mania, it's never happening.
I won $2 million. No one's even considered calling me Patty Ice. This is a huge development. I think Sutton has been, Sutton with the air yards that Sean's talking about, like Troy Franklin, they were kind of, it felt like to me, writing it up week to week, sort of auditioning him to be the number one in the offense. Now, he failed the audition, but then it looked like they were doing the same thing with Pat Bryant before he got hurt in the playoff games. So I think now, and then that's backed up by them trading for Waddle, a first plus to go get Jalen Waddle to be their number one. This is one of the reasons I think Sutton is a bad pick. But you look at, like, why does it have to stop here for Sutton? Why does Sutton have to just he's either locked in number 2, a guy that just got replaced as the number 1? It's not locked in.
No.
Over the course of the year.
The other thing is,
even over the course of training camp, they could be going, hey, we might have a better secondary option too.
The other part with Sutton is if you look at the yards per out run type stuff, you see a big spike in 2024 when he had the really good year that's still kind of carrying his profile now. And then you see in 2025 a pretty big regression back to 2023 and everything prior. And it looks like he's a guy who's at one level and had one good recent season that was a spike year. And last year was more like every other prior year. And that's just who he is not actually as good. And so then you're kind of just playing the TD rate, which has been good the last couple of years. But I think people think Sutton's a lot more than he actually is when you actually dig into it. The other guy that's like that is Jawan Jennings, who had the spike in 2024 and then came back in 2025, which, I mean, he's not as important, but there's a similar thing there of like, we're still kind of on what the dude was 2 years ago, and that's not probably what he actually is based on everything prior to that and based on last year, the most recent year. And it's like, maybe, adjust.
Yeah. No, I'm in on it too. And I like that it does seem, it's almost like when we talk about some of the ambiguous backfields where you don't need an injury for him to hit, like he could just be out there earning targets and be a starter. But then you also layer in the contingent value. If Waddle or Sutton are down and you get an additional target boost or playing time boost, it starts to give you multiple outs there. and just the offense being real good. Like Bo Nix could just absolutely shred this year, and everybody's
And
feasting
passing
to
a
a
lot.
degree.
Yeah. I think they're going to pass a lot more than the typical team, and the NFL seems to be moving away from that, right? And they seem to be they're talking about like spreading it out and playing with pace and passing the ball. Like that sounds pretty fun. That sounds like it could support multiple weapons. And maybe by the end of the season he's the second of those.
All right, we are barreling toward our 15-16 picks here. We have our quarterback. We have our 2 tight ends. We have a bunch of running backs, starting to piece together some wide receiver depth with Worthy, Boston, and Pat Bryant. We see Tank Dell, Malik Washington, Dontavian Wicks, Ryan Flournoy, Caleb Douglas, A.D. Mitchell, the other wide receivers off the board, and we are on deck here. And guess what? The defensive back.
That would have never happened back in the day. You guys have lost your ability to control those picks.
Dude, I tell you what, our ability as influencers is completely dwarfed by people's hatred of Travis Hunter as an offensive player. I mean, it is it's all done now. But I'm very, very good with taking a swing on Hunter at this price.
I am too. I definitely am. And then the other receiver in the queue here, I'd be pretty stoked to get as well. I think, again, I've been talking about swinging for the fences at receiver, and like, there's a guy who just went in the first round of the NFL draft who's available at the 1601 if we want him.
Pat's always good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I still have him ranked too low relative to who's available right now, but I think that's a great call.
Yeah, Sean, what's your take on the Omar Cooper? Did he get passed by Isaiah Williams? Is that a thing?
It sounds like he's been bad, right? But as soon as you get into the season, your team is obviously not competing for the playoffs again. You need to develop these guys that you've invested in. I mean, Omar Cooper and Kenyon Sadiq are who they have to build around Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. The
just
pick
took him
in
after
round,
a guy who doesn't have a knee in Tank Dell 2 years after his injury.
Tank Dell's he's had a pretty good summer. I think Tank Dell's actually a solid pick there too.
The 16th round pick is about getting ready for what happens in week 5. And one of the things that is just fascinating this season, I did a big gorilla with Blair the other day. We went running back, Warren, and then subsequently drafted 8 different wide receivers who'd been selected in the first round, none of which was Omar Cooper either. So it didn't rely on him to get to 8.
Yeah, I mean, aren't these the kind of swings that you want to take on a team like this where we only have Lamb and JMO through 8 rounds? You know, we're trying to find a starter, right? And it's probably unlikely that Travis Hunter or Omar Cooper are that for a while. But if you do find a starter in this range, it's probably one of these guys who have this profile.
Yes. Omar Cooper's like, if we can get Indiana State on the schedule, I will give you some yards.
Which,
I mean,
is a real take. Sean, what's the stat? You told me this in draft season.
I mean, almost his entire college career's worth of production was in one game against a bad school, but he was a first round pick.
He had like a massive game against Indiana State and did nothing against anyone else.
Sean, so with we go Pat Bryant, Travis Hunter, Omar Cooper. So you mentioned like being patient on these guys that were in kind of like week 5, week 6 territory. Are these guys that it's like, all right, we do need to wait, a month or so, or are these churn guys like if you don't like what you're seeing out of the gate?
Well, I would say that one of the other advantages about Omar Cooper is that probably none of us are psychologically tied to him enough that if we need to cut him right away,
right.
that we're gonna all be like, no, we can't make the obvious pickup because we're going to hold Cooper for 5 weeks and destroy the team that way. I mean, if he somehow does better than expected, or we don't have someone to pick up, but I think it works in some ways. It actually works well to have someone that you feel like you can part with.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, and I think with Cooper, you get the beginning couple, 2-3 weeks maybe, and if you can't pass Isaiah Williams, I think you kind of have your answer, and maybe you circle back and pick him up if he earns a starting role later in the year. But yeah, I don't think you need to be tied to him forever. But it's more just like, hey, we 6 weeks ago, we're like, the Jets literally don't have a wide receiver 3. I think it's Isaiah Williams other than Cooper. And now Isaiah Williams apparently had a good camp, but in ways that I'm pretty skeptical are going to translate to real NFL games. So, let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, we are now in the territory where I guess some good quarterback values. Some team has taken Brock Purdy, Stafford, and Shuck, Gadsden, Gunnar Helm, Eli Raridan off the board. Keenan Allen does finally go in round 16 to our Dreaming of Sundays ship chaser, who has now taken 5 straight wide receivers: Shakir, Lane, Shaheed, Caleb Douglas, Keenan Allen. Sean, what do you think about the Caleb Douglas stuff? Is he piquing your interest at all?
Probably not. I mean, there's an argument that somebody has to catch some passes, and Malik Willis has been a little better than expected in some ways. My concern would just be that the Dolphins are so bad that the stuff that looks good now is not going to look good when teams are playing for real.
Yep.
Can I get in? I haven't had a good argument with Pat yet on the show where we started yelling at each other about the Wicked Witch of the East type stuff. But you remember the meme where his sister was a witch?
Yeah.
You're saying that Dell had a good offseason?
Yeah, dude. About as good as you could possibly hope for.
Okay, Jonathan Brooks is 2 years removed from an injury, and he was ready to practice. That's what a guy 2 years removed from an injury's good offseason would be. Dell still hasn't practiced. It's the end of August.
No, he's not practicing in the sense of he's not taking hits, right? But
is that not a problem for you 2 years after the injury? The timeline is he should be ready.
I don't. Who says he should be anything? I think he's. They seem to have a plan.
15th round.
Well, I mean, they seem to have a plan that they're working him up towards participating in real football soon, but they're following that plan. And at no point have they been we're backing off of this, or he's the stuff I've seen of here's how his progress looks to people, medically minded people. They seem reasonably bullish. I'm not anticipating that we're going to get a ton of production from him early in the season, but post Jaden Higgins ACL, he plays outside and they kind of need him now. And I think we're going to
post Jaden Higgins ACL. We are in a different landscape, but up to that point, I felt I don't know. The plan for him, they needed to make sure he could handle a season. This idea that it's part of the plan. I've seen that a lot, not just from you. It's been the reason that he's been getting drafted. I felt was very bullish in terms of
here's from the 7th.
Actually happening.
This is Coach Speak Index. Tank looks really nice out there. You see him being explosive. It's good to see him in routes on air and individual drills. We're taking our time with Tank, allowing him to come along as he needs to in his time, but he's doing an outstanding job. He looked really nice today, nice and crisp running on his routes. And that was from D'Amico Ryans on August 7th. So it's it's just been stuff like that. We're I wish he was just back. He's not back in the the full sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty devastating knee injury, but he looks like
if you're ever going to get back,
at least cutting and all that
18th.
stuff.
Yeah.
They're not exposing him to physical contact, but he is back in the sense of he's doing the route run. Is he going to
need to be exposed to physical contact to play NFL?
I think so, yeah. But I think there's a little bit I think it's probably smart and also that he's not fully ready for it. It's probably both. But Tank Dell's a tiny man who had a serious knee injury and he's on a plan to work back. I don't really give a shit if he's taking hits in August, as long as the plan is that he plays NFL games relatively early in the season. And that does seem to be their plan.
You get my point. I hear what you're saying. I do. You get my point.
No, I thought Tank Dell was done. My prior was Tank Dell was retired. So I do think he's had a very strong offseason from the perspective of I doubt we ever see Tank Dell play again. And now thinking, I bet he plays
He'll play.
a good chunk of the season, if not, close to all.
The problem is he's got to be good. He wasn't even good that year before his injury. He was getting dunked on.
He looks nice out there running routes, Gretch. He looks real nice, real crisp.
Look at this team in the five hole.
He's got a path to being the number 2 target on a team.
Piss and yellow. Sorry. Yeah, he does. You're right. He absolutely does. This piss and yellow on that 5 hole is amazing.
All right. We have the 17-18 turn, so 2 more non-kicker defense picks to make here. Sean, how much does it pain you to have Jerry Jeudy in the queue? Did you do that, or was that somebody else?
No, I put him in there. He's still a real person, and in some ways, he's like a Denzel Boston. I mean, if Denzel Boston comes out and is awful, then a Jerry Jeudy pick might fix our round 11 pick. I think you could make a case for going defense kicker here as opposed to 19.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If there's nobody that we love and we have a priority. But here's the thing, Sean. I don't think Pat has a priority kicker defense. I certainly don't. Do you have something for us here?
Well, you can. There's a team that is early before the Sunday that gets to face Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. There is a defense that gets to start Washington, Tennessee. That's a very good defense. So either of those would be viable. And then there are two fun kickers.
So can I make a case for a couple of receivers? And I really actually do like the kicker D, but Malachi Fields has had a good camp. That he's moving up. I thought he had a pretty interesting profile. He got a lot of air yards all 3 straight years. He's got a higher ADOT and actually earned some volume at a higher ADOT, and he seems good. To me, he's the same.
I like this call a lot. I don't believe in Fields very much, but I also could be wrong. And he's probably going to play early in the season, so I think we'll get information on him. I think he's a nice. I like him more in redraft than best ball.
Jalen Knowles,
another guy I would be into. Yeah.
Those guys seem like good picks, but I'm fine with the kicker D and just seeing what happens.
I see it, Sean, is the twinkle in your eye for Cam Little.
Yeah, it is. We took him last night.
Ben did this amazing bit while we were just talking to each other that was probably the best thing that he's ever done, and it wasn't recorded for Stealing Bananas. It was about Cam Little as the breakout kicker.
All right, well, wait.
So I've ever done. So you want to talk about a backhanded compliment, Pete, from earlier?
All right, then just click, because one of these picks I was going to say has to be Cam Little, and we took it Malachi Fields, so we're taking. Come on.
All right, Gretch. It wasn't recorded with Sean. What is your Cam Little breakout kicker take?
Well, Pete's about to click a different.
Kicker chasing. It's the show where we chase the best kickers. The kickers that help you win championships. The biggest legs. The breaking news. It's everything you've come to love and know. The time is now for kicker chasing. Let's get some fucking kickers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
all right.
Yeah.
Cam Little was a 21-year-old rookie in 2024, 22-year-old second-year guy last year, going into the year 3 breakout right now. People think he was back because he was a popular year. That's my kicker model has a lot of year 3 breakout hits. Popular pick last year as a year 2 breakout, missed field goals in weeks 3, 4, 6, and 7. People got really concerned about that. Did not miss a kick the rest of the year. People don't realize from week 8 on, he made kicks exclusively. He made multiple kicks in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 of the 10 games. 2+ field goals, made 3+ field goals 3 times. Only made 0 field goals once, but he made 5 extra points in that game. Plays for a great offense, right? Made a league-high 68-yarder last year. Made 8 kicks of over 50 yards. The league leader was with 11. Has the biggest leg in the league. They gained a lot of confidence in the second half of last year. My model loves the breakout second half of the year breakout leading into the next season.
But only for kickers. That's not really a big signal for other players.
Right. It's not for anyone else.
Yeah, Shope says this is how this ends up with having written 4 million words. Yeah, when are you going to release the part 2 to the ebook, which is just the full inputs for your kicker model? I think you got to give it to us.
That one's That one
I'm
is
gonna-
for the premium tier.
I'm gonna put a link in the video chat here. Jeff Mueller just tweeted out a video. I guess Warren Sharp tweeted this out a few hours ago about Rachaad White. And there's the video of him doing an ice bucket challenge, and he slips wearing like slides, and hasn't practiced since. So
Okay.
yeah, might be a little under the radar.
All right.
What?
Yeah.
Doing
I mean, it's
an
not. I
ice
don't think it would be
bucket
anything.
challenge?
He's mysteriously missed the last 2 days of practice since the Commanders posted this video, according to Warren Sharp. And then Mueller said, "Let's see if Rachaad White pops up with a right groin strain."
It's the summer of the groin. It feels like
The groins are going nuts this summer.
Yeah.
Oh, he slid. Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens when you're kind of old.
Oh, come on, man.
And running back years.
Sorry, chat. I missed this. They said the entire chat said that when you picked Bill. They said Bill was a good pick because Rachaad White hurt himself doing the ice bucket challenge. So
Interesting.
kudos.
I didn't even know that.
Bill.
This was all just based on pre-ice bucket challenge information.
All right. So we do have one other skill position player to mess with, along with a defense here as we land the plane. Sean, have we caught up at wide receiver? Do we have enough intriguing darts to make this team work with Boston, Pat Bryant, Hunter, Cooper, and Fields?
I don't
That
know.
was a long pause.
I don't know. The last three guys that we've taken, I would not expect to score that much for us. But yeah, I mean, the team is constructed in such a way that I don't think you're even necessarily looking for a third receiver. I mean, you're obviously, we want to have the flex filled with dominant scorers and then have additional dominant scorers on the bench. And we're going to especially need that if we're going to win the league with what we have with the buys. But because we have such a nice build early on, I don't know that receiver is the same type of concern it might be otherwise. I do think that it's pretty likely that we get some weeks this season from a receiver who is not on the roster yet.
Yeah, I think that's partly kind of, we would have taken Keenan Allen or, some of these other type of guys if we wanted to make sure that didn't happen. But I think that's an okay thing to happen, as it's not ideal, but we swung big at receiver without a ton of depth. And so, maybe one of the ways that happens is we found a guy and it's the bye weeks. And so we have to fill some production in off the waiver wire at receiver 3 or whatever. But yeah, I'm hopeful that we have at least that third receiver down the stretch figured out here on this team.
Yeah. Sean, what do you think is like,
You're
whether
muted,
it's,
Gretch.
I was saying that's why I'm sitting over here just talking about Khalil Shakir into my microphone that no one can hear. I was like, that's why I was talking about Khalil Shakir. I said I was starting to talk about the Bills preseason game, and I was going to say that I thought they looked really, really sharp, and I really liked the way Moore fit. I mean, a lot of people made a joke about like the one drag route was like anyone could have done that, but he had multiple other catches. He had 3 catches on like 2 drives, and a couple of them were more vertical. The other 2 were more vertical and seemed to fit with Josh Allen in a way that, I mean, makes sense. And I've always been a big DJ Moore guy, but I guess it was nice to visualize. And then Shakir had a couple catches off of that. And I was like, yeah, I mean, Shakir works really good as a number 2 off of that kind of a player. The Bills kind of always have had all these like role players, and now they have DJ Moore. And if DJ Moore is like a legit player, they're going to be in good shape, I think. Like, I thought their offense looked really good after watching all the week 1 preseason. I always do like a preseason stealing signals. That was one of the first team offenses that I was most impressed by. And when you were talking about James Cook earlier, I was like, they didn't even throw to the running backs once with the first team, and they didn't look like they were even thinking about it because they have other weapons. Like, so anyway, I think Shakir's a decent pick for people who have builds like this. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I do too. Yeah. I mean, so Shakir, we would have had to take over Chris Rodriguez, which I think would have been fine. But yeah, I mean, I take a ton of Shakir in best ball where, you're kind of filling in some of these builds Where it's like, yeah, when I'm going to need guys who kind of pop up and hit my lineup, it's not the highest upside play. And so I think he fits this type of build in redraft too. I think he's just an undervalued guy. Like he's not an amazing player, but he's in an awesome offense and he has a clear-cut role. No one's coming for his role. He's going to be out of the slot. Like Skylar Bell's not done much at all in camp. Keon Coleman hasn't done it. I mean, they play different roles, but it's just like they kind of have two receivers, DJ Moore and Khalil Shakir, and then Dalton Kincaid's the third guy from a pass catching perspective. So I don't really get why people don't. I literally have 30% Shakir on Underdog. I'm drafting the crap out of him. Yeah.
And this is full PPR. I mean, if you're that
Yeah.
on half, like he's even better in full. Meaningful.
Yeah, it's more that like I kind of he's not like a big swing for the fences type of guy. You're like hoping not to be starting him soon sort of thing, which is, why I'm not like as excited about him for redraft. But I think like as a wide receiver version of like Chris Rodriguez, he would have been perfectly. Yeah.
Yep.
He would have been good for the team.
All right, guys, one more pick. We are on the clock. I mean, some of the wide receivers we talked about before, like Jalen Knowles still here. Sean, I know you got Zachariah Branch, Antonio Williams, Trey Tucker.
Are we allowed to do, if we play Sam Fran against Sam Darnold, like you said, Sean, are we allowed to cut them and add another D, or do we have to draft 2 Ds? I never remember this.
There's a waiver run before that, right?
Yeah, you should be fine. This one is not the Darnold one. This is a terrible matchup for the 49ers, but it's just that they would have that early week and then you swap them out, assuming they don't score. You just have to go in and do it. There are 2 defenses that have pretty decent matchups. If we don't want to do that, like go through the rigmarole of
take the good matchup. Well, every other team has a D already. That's wild. Pick whatever D you want, Sean. You're the one who's thought about defenses. You guys got anything, Pat and Pete?
Detroit. There we go. Which wide receiver do we like?
I kind of like Noel for information. Like we're going to know stuff. And then Trey Tucker is here, which is you guys have in the queue. That seems like kind of shouldn't be available in the 20th round.
Well, if Ben's thesis on Tank Dell hits and Jaden Higgins is out for the season, Jalen Knoll might be up.
The problem is I also said earlier that Xavier Hutchinson was going to run 400 routes this year, which is probably going to happen.
Zachariah Branch.
So do people have a sense on Trey Tucker? Because early it sounded like definitely Naylor was going to be the guy, and he's gone a long time. But the more recent stuff sounds like Tucker is actually the more multiple receiver. That
Benson's ahead of Tucker, I think. Or Benson's ahead of Naylor. Sorry, I think Tucker's the number one there. I think we should.
Sean likes
all right, let's take a dart on Tucker here. I mean, this price is right.
Yeah, this is a really good value. His ADP was 170. Everyone else we have in the queue, the closest ADP in the queue was 240. I mean, his ADP was way higher than this. That was a good value.
We did it, guys. The main event squad is in the books. CeeDee Lamb, Trey McBride, Tyler Warren, Jeremiah Love, Bucky Irving, Jameson Williams, Blake Corum, Bill, Xavier Worthy, Keaton Mitchell, Denzel Boston, Chris Rodriguez, Bo Nix, Pat Bryant, Travis Hunter, Omar Cooper, Malachi Fields, Cam Little, Detroit defense, and Trey Tucker. How do we feel?
I feel pretty good. I feel like we got Trey Tucker in the last round. Didn't have to take Jerry Jeudy. That feels nice.
The number one selling point, we didn't take Jerry Jeudy. Can you fire me up, Gretch, on this team?
Yeah, I mean, we got Cam Little. We got the number one breakout kicker of the season on this roster. We also got Keaton Mitchell. No, we got to send it to Sean. My favorite part of drafting with Sean and doing Stealing Bananas is every draft is the best draft we've ever done. I just want to hear him tell me that this is the best team we've ever drafted.
This is a good team.
Oh, no.
That means it's the worst team he's ever drafted.
Jeremiah Love, Tyler Warren at those prices. The injury stuff does concern me a bit, but the thing we talked about was drafting a team where after those first 4 picks, we were going to be able to still win week 14, win the championship, make it through that portion in week 13 there. And I think that we've done that. Released the third part, also all 15 players of the 0 RB countdown are now out. We drafted several of them on this team. So, I mean, we may be flexing 2 running backs. These guys are going to break out to such an extent. Bo Nix, like I said, QB5 with Pat Bryant, the wide receiver 1 on the Denver Broncos. I mean, if I didn't know that Ben was going to be so frustrated with Raiders here, I'd also point out that we got the Raiders wide receiver 1 in the very final round.
Like, I think one fun thing about this team is the potential for like some unique combos of players and some CLV type stuff where like we talked about earlier, I don't know that Warren is ultimately going to fall a ton. So we get him at the end of the third, you get Jeremiah Love. Maybe he doesn't ultimately kind of sit down here. And then Bill's going to rock it up with this ice bucket thing. So, you know, this
the ice bucket thing, and you're forgetting that Cam Little, once people get wind of the kicker model,
oh yeah, I forgot about
at
that.
least 3 rounds higher.
Yeah.
This build like defies classification because it like spiritually feels like a 0 RB build with how many 0 RB targets we took, but we started taking the running backs in round 4. It's a 0 RB build that's also like an anchor wide receiver build. This might be one of the funkiest main event
double elite tight end, I guess,
got.
is really what it is. I mean, that's what we did, and then we kind of went balanced at running back and receiver kind of after that, I guess. Or
it's sort of hilarious too because it's double elite, but it's the 2 guys that have the low A dots. Like the fascinating thing is like Bowers. I mean, Bowers has kind of a little bit of a lower A dot too, but he does to be really efficient. And then Loveland has the higher A dot, and so you're looking at like potential like really big yards per target figures. And like McBride and Warren can do that, but their A dots are meaningfully lower. And McBride especially, I mean the ball in hand stuff can still be very efficient, but you're looking at just like volume hounds is kind of the way that I think of those two, and it's just like
totally.
I mean, they could gap everyone. I mean, McBride had 50 more targets than every other tight end last year. I mean,
I don't understand it. It's like, you know, and in the tight end premium, he's at least, you know, I feel like he's getting the least disrespect in tight end premium, even though Sean was saying he could be in another situation, the 102 type of player. But yeah, I mean, he is getting him in the 3rd round, middle, even late 3rd round in best ball. Just this, I don't understand it. He's awesome. He's an awesome player.
Yeah,
it does when you look at this starting lineup here. You know, I just moved Jeremiah Love to the bench. Ice up, kid. Rest up. Bo Nix, Bucky, Bill, CeeDee Lamb, JMO, Trey McBride, Blake Corum, Tyler Warren, Cam fucking Little, Detroit defense. I mean,
Pete, can you do me a favor? Can you get Blake Corum out of there and put in Keaton fucking Mitchell, please?
Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
There you go. Any other starting lineup requests, Gretch? Anything you'd like to get done with?
What I love about it is it's gonna be a mess picking the starting lineup every week. But there's a lot of guys that you look at the starting lineup, you're like, yeah, I mean these are good plays, and there's a lot of guys on the bench that are like, yeah, these are good plays. Like I think we're gonna have a lot of like we could be playing Xavier Worthy early. Maybe Chris Rodriguez has a really big week 1 role, and we're all just like, ooh, we were kind of wrong on Bashal Tootin or something. Like there's a number of dudes I think that could be playable. Like Trey Tucker was our last pick. Like he could be playable reasonably early for us in some situations. Hopefully we're not in those situations, but potentially if there's like injuries or things, we're like, hey, Trey Tucker's actually productive. I think we have
at the very
lot of
least
dudes.
Trey Tucker saved us like 200 in fab. You know, like that when Sean was like, I think we're picking up a guy, he was thinking of Trey Tucker, and now he's on the team. So, you know.
the reason I like that, though, especially is last year. I mean, I've written about this a lot lately. I wrote about it a little bit in my draft strategy stuff. Last year, to win, you basically needed like 2 guys, 3 guys. Like it used to be like you needed 5 guys. I wrote this piece called "Cut Your Draft into Quarters" a year ago, and I was talking about how you're trying to get I don't want to go into the whole piece, but you're trying to get league winners basically, and you probably want like 5 meaningful hits in your draft. And it felt like last year was more like 3. I mean, we won the 5K with Leone, Pat and Pete, with a McCaffrey, Puka start, and nothing.
I mean,
our team was trash. and like that's the way. Well, there were so many misses that I do think the late round QB strategy makes a lot of sense. Taking a lot of swings, getting a lot of depth, having a lot of meaningful plays, and understanding you're going to have misses because we are going into an era with the NFL where like a lot of these offenses are going to do a lot more sub packages. Some of these teams are not going to be fun. They're not going to consolidate stuff. We're going to learn that in season, but we're going to be able to adjust because we took a lot of smart picks throughout. We have a lot of depth. I feel really good about that part of this build, that we have a lot of ways that the season can go. And I do think we are in a very crossroads element in the real NFL, where 2026 from week 1 to week 17, a lot of things can happen. And this team can be it's anti-fragile. It's an anti-fragile build, like Sean has obviously coined, so many years ago in the fantasy space with the 0 RB piece. This is a team that I think will get better through the chaos that will hurt a lot of other rosters. I think we're going to have answers for a lot of things that can happen this year. We started with those bad offenses. I was noticing we were getting pieces of a lot of good offenses, even like the Keaton Mitchell, the Chris Rodriguez, the Xavier Worthy. Like, we started the Jameson Williams pick. We started grabbing pieces of a lot of really good offenses as we moved on. I really, really like that. I like the way that this will progress throughout the year.
In hindsight, we had 2 pieces of information at that 8-9 or 7-8 turn. We had the ice bucket Rashad White, but we also now had the knowledge that we grabbed Bo Nix and Pat Bryant. Would RJ Harvey on this team over Bill make more sense, knowing we ended up on that Broncos bet?
Well, the whole time that Pat was talking about the Broncos and what they're going to do, I was like, yeah, just extend that to Harvey, and he's gold.
I like the ice bucket info though. I mean, maybe we end up with Harvey and Bill if we knew everything we know now. Not to say I didn't like the corn pick, but we've learned new things. I've updated the ranks.
Sean, I think we hinted at it a little bit, or you mentioned it, but do you think we could get like just a full blown Corum flippening of Kyren this year without any injury?
I do. The Rams are all about winning, and McVay has been willing to move some of these guys before. They really, really like Kyren Williams, and they value what he does. If Blake Corum is simply better in a dramatic way, it's going to move in the direction of Kyren still taking some of these high-value touches that are a problem, but, just Corum being the bell cow. And I don't think you have to have that for that to be a solid pick there, but it makes it a really exciting pick, that especially when you're talking about down the stretch. And it's not, we've spent a lot of time talking about how we'd like to win despite having all those guys with buys in the fantasy playoffs. We also want to win the $1 million. And Corum is one of the guys who factors into that, and that like his full season without the receiving probably can't be legendary. It doesn't fit what, Pat would be talking about there, but the spikes in the fantasy playoffs, if things come together properly, I really like him, and I didn't like him before. He's one of these guys that I think the new information on him from from last year and then this offseason dramatically changes where we are with the Rams.
They are talking about him. Like, someone was writing him up. I forget who that covers the Rams was saying this, but they were saying like, being familiar with him in his college career, that looking at him today, he looks like the guy he was before his final season at Michigan. He suffered this injury and kind of wasn't the same guy. And he looks rejuvenated. He looks like he's that guy again. And he was already pressing for a real kind of, split role with Kyren. I think he could pass Kyren. Kyren's he's one of these guys that's very, he emerges from the final rounds. It's like, all right, how long can you hold it? And we see teams move on from those types of players often like more quickly than they should, but Kyren is not a particularly explosive guy. He doesn't add a ton as like a dynamic receiver. So if I think there's a path. Like, Corum could just be the clearly more efficient runner and kind of take over a big chunk of the backfield, if not, probably not all of it, because I do trust Kyren, but the contingent value for Corum is elite.
Sean, how pained are you in retrospect on the Chris Rodriguez pick? Is that the blight on this team?
Yeah, it's tough to have him there. Although I haven't been able to get as much Tootin as I'd like. So it's not necessarily a thing where you're looking at your own teams to be like, for the ship chasing team to win here, everything else has to go poorly. We ended up with such a good running back group that I think that pick for me maybe doesn't fit as well. And I was going to suggest maybe we want to put Keaton Mitchell in there for Bill and Xavier Worthy into the flex. But
Oh
no, I mean, it's
starting Keaton Mitchell over Bill is going to be. I'm gonna have some messages to send on
The start
on that
sits
Sunday
are
morning.
going to be fantastic for this team. They're going to be so fun.
Well, Sean, I do. Who
Oh,
did
boy.
you have? Because one of the things we were talking about was pulling up 2 wide receivers here. We did Denzel, Boston, Rodriguez. Who would have been that other name to pull up here? Was it like a
wanted
Jacoby
Coker.
Lane? Coker or Lane?
well, I mean, Coker's an interesting guy, right? And I think because of where he didn't go in the draft, obviously people don't think that. I mean, I think he's like this. Anyway, Coker is a spectacular athlete who's been very, very good. The problem, obviously, is that the Panthers. I mean, it's McMillan is the guy who should emerge as a star. Can the Panthers support even him? Can they support a guy beyond that? The other players that I think are kind of interesting there are receivers. I mean, Trey Harris and Jacoby Lane are people that we needed for this roster, but they just went wildly early in this particular draft. You just wouldn't pick them where we took Rodriguez for a variety of portfolio-based reasons if you're going to do more than one main event. And so losing some of those guys, losing some of the receivers as the receivers pulled up so far in this draft was unfortunate. I mean, you can always make the case, knowing what you know after the fact, that just taking another receiver for Rodriguez would have been the way to go. But we were all on the same guys. I don't think that Khalil Shakir is a great managed league selection for some of the reasons that Pat was saying. You know, we weren't all on Coker, and then you start to get pretty deep. We come back and we do get the guys we want, and Pat Bryant and Travis Hunter. And unlike, you know, kind of jokingly we said Omar Cooper's probably not good, Travis Hunter is somebody that I actually probably would want to hang on to for a while. Now, you can kind of try and get a sense of which guys you can release and recover. And you can even kind of make the decision, okay, I'm going to cut Travis Hunter, and then when he does break out, I'm just going to have the guts to spend $900 to get him back.
This
Right,
is
'cause if
classic. Classic. You're saying Chris Rodriguez is actually not that bad of a pick because we can cut him.
Well, no. Well, actually, we can't cut him.
That's kind of a hallmark of a lot of ship chasing teams.
Otherwise,
no, I
we'd have
think
to
that-
cut Travis Hunter.
I mean, one of the things, too, that you always want to think about here with winning the whole thing is that the way that the tight ends are going to score and what that means for the other starting decisions you have to make, the team is actually very deep, right? Not thin.
Yeah.
In some ways, it feels thin because of the receivers, but it's one of the deepest teams that I feel like we've drafted as a group, partly because of the injuries and partly because of that week 13-14 thing. It's actually a very, very deep team, and then does have options to mix some guys around at the end.
I think you make a valid point about Rodriguez. I was in on Rodriguez, and I was wondering at the time if as an RB6 he made sense. And I think you're selling me that he doesn't make a lot of sense as an RB6. It feels like you need him when you take the Keaton Mitchell pick and some of these things where you're like, I don't know what this is. But that's because you're not like, you got to open up your third eye, as Davis Maddock would say. Like, you got to think about, we took these guys for a reason. When you take multiple upside swings, you have to believe that something's going to hit. And it's not just like thinking like you're right. It's some path is going to hit out of Corum, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, and Keaton Mitchell. Something's going to hit. If none of that, and like, throw Jeremiah Love in that
Love doesn't
box.
miss any time.
Yeah.
You know, like you just start him week one.
Something's going to hit. And we're going to look back at that Chris Rodriguez pick and be like, well, cool, we have this high floor play that we can't cut, and it's a roster clogger, and we don't even play him, and we don't, like...
Yeah, probably.
Which is why Sean's already laying the groundwork for cutting him in the draft.
Well, no, I mean, if Bashal Tutin gets hurt, then Chris Rodriguez scores a ton of points.
Yeah. And I think there are paths to where Rodriguez has like a lot bigger of a role than I think we're all hoping he does. You know, this pick isn't enough to swing me on that. So it's like, yeah, he could actually be a pretty damn good pick in the 12th round because, you know, Tutin's just not getting as big a chunk of things and maybe Tutin, who went in the 4th round and didn't do much as a rookie ultimately, isn't that good. I think he's probably way better than Chris Rodriguez, but it's not a guarantee. So there's some upside there. I do wish we had Jacoby Lane ultimately. Like if I could just go back and put a guy in that spot, that's who it probably would be for me.
Pat, you're not concerned about, so Jacob has got me concerned about the like contested catch rate and all that stuff. Are you, I feel like you care about that stuff a little bit too. No.
I do. I mean, Lane came out to me like as a pretty decent prospect, not a great prospect by any means, but kind of like in the same general tier as Boston, even as a third round pick. And I think his path is probably even a little more thin than Boston's, to be like his particular archetype like creates a pretty narrow path. But like early career Pickens is maybe a potential for him. Honestly, I've been kind of wondering if what the Ravens are really excited about is they basically found their Kayshon Boutte, which isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but is like a clear-cut X starting receiver for this team this year.
There was a coach speak comparison to DeAndre Hopkins' role last year, which was like, because Lamar likes 50-50 ball winners.
Yeah.
And I was
he
like,
trusts
that's cool,
him, that's
but like he's good at that stuff. That's cool, but that's not a fantasy role at all.
Well,
like,
he's got like crazy. The thing about him, and I think Harmon's written about this, like his hands are kind of nuts. Like he catches everything, and he was an awesome red zone producer, especially in his second season. And then, he's playing alongside Mekhi Lemon, so he has legit target competition that helps explain the profile was never really that strong from a production standpoint, but not terrible either. And so, you're looking at him maybe as just like a legit red zone weapon, which is how they talked about him right after they drafted him. Like at the very least, we'll probably have stuff designed for him. And then he's just blown those expectations out of the water, it looks like. And then what I like about Lane is that coming off of this, like from a redraft standpoint, coming off of this training camp, if he's not producing right away, he's a guy I think we can move on from. You're going to get information quickly on Lane because if not, the training camp was kind of BS, right? Like he's earned a starting role.
They could really like his skill set for their offense and for key downs and things. Like the reason I was saying that about Hopkins is they did a lot of like 50-50 jump balls on like key third downs and like even fourth down plays when they got one-on-ones. And his route share was like in the 50% range, and maybe Lane's would be higher. Maybe that was because
I think it'd be a
Hopkins
lot
is so
higher.
old. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're just getting like rotational, like contested opportunities, you're not going to catch that many balls. It's kind of like, I don't know why Tyquan Thornton comes up, but people get really excited about Tyquan Thornton. And then the stat that has stuck with me when I did the Chiefs projection is Tyquan Thornton had 19 catches last year. And people think he's such a more impactful player. He caught less than 20 balls, and he's their wide receiver 3. It's why I'm like weirdly, I can't quit the Rashee Rice stuff, even though his knee's so bad, and like obviously very into Xavier Worthy at the cost. I'm even vaguely like Travis Kelce curious, but I will never draft him. But like, who's going to catch balls for this team other than the running backs? Like, somebody's got to catch a pass for this team because their number 3 is just a deep threat, contested catch guy, bombs. He's going to have explosive plays. There's a lot of pass volume in an NFL game. If you catch 19 balls over the course of a season, like you're not doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Lane's going to be that guy exactly, but that's the shape of the role description that concerns me.
Gabe Davis is another comp, and showed up for me when I was writing him up. Yeah.
That's a
Kenny
better comp.
Galladay was a comp.
That's a good one too.
Not quite as physical as Galladay, I don't think. But
the Thornton one gets
everything.
back to the Boutte point, but the two that you just gave are better versions of that. Those are good comps.
Yeah, it's a thin path. Like it's a guy like Traquan Smith is a comp, Cedric Tillman's a comp, Josh Malone's a comp, Antonio Gandy Golden's a comp, Donovan Peoples-Jones, like, which is more middle. Isaiah Coulter. No, I'm saying like these guys were bad. Like like there's a lot of guys who look like Jacoby Lane and bust.
I thought Antonio Gandy Golden was going to be good. I thought he was going to be
real good. Yeah, I loved Antonio Gandy Golden. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that look like him. Keon Coleman is actually a comp as well. And yeah, so I'm not going in. I was not drafting Lane much more than, the 20th round of DraftKings because I want to bet on this ambiguous Ravens wide receiver 2 kind of situation. And he was a 3rd round pick, and maybe he's good. But the training camp hype has been so outrageous on him that I do think he could be one of these guys who hits, pretty early in his career, like Gabe Davis, just emerges from day 3 and as a starting role, and is kind of this big, more downfield guy. Like I would bet that Jacoby Lane's ADOT's well over 10, probably 13 or higher. And it's not exclusively just sideline throws, though. They can kind of have him crossing, and he's going to have pretty good target share in the red zone and probably better for best ball. But I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe he plays with Lamar. He might be pretty good. So we'll know early on him, which is kind of, again, why I think the redraft part of it's interesting, even if he's maybe more of a touchdown-driven profile, which is better for best ball.
Sean, I wanted to ask if Sadiq was a guy you thought about there. I saw him in the queue, but I don't think you ever mentioned him.
Sadiq went early in this draft and probably wasn't the best fit for the team. But, I mean, second half of the season is going to score a lot of points.
Yep. Yeah, there, like you said, this draft was tough with, I think it was a combo of two things. Multiple teams pushing extreme builds, right? And then that led to kind of some squeezes at positions that, or at least some runs that were maybe more aggressive than you're used to seeing. And then anytime you're at the 12, right? Like it's harder. You're trying to anticipate what you can push, what you need to grab now. It always makes it tricky. We have a couple ship chasers in here. We see our guy Dreaming of Sundays grabs Concepcion, Mekhi Lemon. Those have been guys that have fallen, in spots that you're often able to make some of these running back builds work. So I don't know. I think we were kind of in a tricky spot, but I like how we battled out.
Is Dreaming of Sundays a ship chaser?
Yeah.
Yep.
Man.
That's what I was listening to him earlier.
4 straight running backs, and then scroll down and look at how pissed yellow this got.
Yeah.
I mean, just that we got Jacoby Lane in there. It just kept going. There was so much yellow in that draft.
He wants the sauce from you, Gretch. Tell him where he messed up.
I'm not gonna get mad. I love
look,
an idealistic draft.
Khalil Shakir has no upside.
Like
Jordan Tyson's going to be hurt all season. I wouldn't consider him even in the 18th. And Jacoby Lane can't separate. Terrible team.
Rashid Shaheed had like 10 catches. You want to talk about 19 catches for a team? He had about 10 catches for the Seahawks last year. Caleb Douglas's team's going to throw 10 passes. Keenan Allen's 47 years old. Chris Bell's also on Caleb Douglas's team. I mean, good job.
These are like
dude.
literally these are guys that we talked about, and then he's like, oh yeah, okay, good points. And he took him, and then half a round later,
he saw you, Mr. Patty Ice, win $2 million by cornering the Dolphins backfield.
I finally got Patty Ice.
I didn't mean it. And then he drafted. And then he drafts Caleb Douglas and Chris Bell, trying to do it with the rookie wide receivers there. Well, Sean, Ben, always a pleasure.
Josh Jacobs. Oh my god!
That's how you know.
You want to get roasted? He took Devontae Adams. This guy's obviously not seen the Stealing Signals fade list. You know what I'm saying?
Marvin Harrison over Devontae Adams, Carnell Tate there. All right, dudes. Well, Gretch, Sean, always an absolute pleasure drafting with you guys. We always build some super fun teams. You guys mentioned you did do a main event draft, but that's not for public consumption because you guys are hard at work on 2027 round 1 and 2.
Recording it tomorrow morning.
Okay. Beautiful.
You're like 24 hours away from that in your ear holes, or 48 or something. But yeah,
it could be longer if you do 4 hours of recording or talking before recording, though. So
that's
we gotta
right.
we gotta
have
build
a
in
bad
that
habit
buffer.
of that.
And Sean, I caught the first 2 parts of the Zero RB installment. You said the final piece is out now as well.
Yeah, unless I made a bunch of mistakes and Blair had to send it back to me. It is out. So
it wasn't out at the top of the stream. I was looking for it.
Yeah, well, Blair's just trying to preserve some ADPs just for.
Blair is maybe trying to get the ice bucket stuff in there as well.
He might be fitting the ice bucket stuff.
That strikes me as Blair fodder for sure. Stop the presses. We need to get the ice bucket.
It's not up. Tomorrow morning, that's the first thing I'm doing is reading that. Blair knows that tomorrow morning is the time to publish. You got to hit that window.
How from a macro perspective, Sean, how does this year strike you from like the quality of the Zero RB countdown? Because obviously one of the things we've talked about all offseason is running back prices are more expensive than ever. We don't get that good of a rookie running back class. Does it feel weaker on the whole, or are there still some exciting guys here for us?
That's the way I was looking at it until I went through and built out the list. And then again, maybe it's just bent in the direction of optimism, but I felt really good about it. There are some spots where the guys are a little bit clustered, but it's just one of those things that is always fun and always interesting. We're actually working through players as opposed to just taking things as a whole, taking your favorite picks and not seeing beyond that. You work through the players and you learn a lot, and it does change how you want to do things structurally. I think that one of the things that's always so fun about it, for me at least, is that I don't think that you have to be dogmatic about it, or that you have to think about some of these contingent running back plays as only being viable for zero RB builds. If you're someone who wants to have running backs in all 4 of the starting spots for FFPC, this is a good year for it. Not just because there are some interesting guys up top, but because, I mean, some of the guys are going to break out, right? The injury rates for running backs have been very, very low the last couple of years. There are structural reasons why the league is going a little bit in that direction. But do we think that like suddenly just no one's going to get hurt? I mean, you think about all the injuries just in camp the last week. I mean, players are going to get hurt, and there are committee backs and backup backs who are very good and have just extremely exciting profiles, and they have offenses that fit them. It's a much better season for it than I thought. It was really exciting writing it, and it's just yet another thing that's got me fired up for drafting in 2026.
Awesome. Pat, you got anything cooking here this week?
Yeah, Matt Irby just published an article on running back upside. He's got this Apex score that he just published on the site earlier this week, and encourage people to check that out. I'm going to be in the lab working on my legendary running back article. I'm hoping to get that out later next week. And then we've got some cool stuff for best ball. Apps.legendaryupside.com. We just launched. If you can dig into your underdog DraftKings portfolio, check out teams where you got the most CLV, some cool stuff like that. That's available to all leg up subs. Apps.legendaryupside.com.
Beautiful. Make sure you guys check out ADP Chasing last night. If you haven't, our main event schedule for next week, let me pull it up here so I remember. The ADP Chasing Draft, that's going to be Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Shope, Corain, Davis, and Sanderson, always a fun one. And then another one of our tentpole drafts next Thursday, so a week from tomorrow, with Crack Rock, the main event draft with Crack Rock. That will be must-see TV as well. If you guys are YouTube members, you can get access to our Ship Chasing Discord. That link's down below. You hop in the Deposit Kingdom server, and then there's an FAQ where you sync your YouTube and your Discord accounts, and that will unlock that Ship Chasing channel. Thank you to the chat hanging out tonight. Thank you to Gretch and Sean. For Pat, I'm Pete. We'll see you guys next time on Ship Chasing.